Perfect.
Whistle.
Welcome back to another episode of the J. Youngblood Experience. Today I have with me Mr. Rob Milhous, a part of the Augusta Hemp Company, as well as, what's the chiropractic, what was the name of it?
The chiropractic clinic's Augusta Chiropractic Clinic, and we also own, I'm the founder of the Georgia Cannabis Project here.
Okay, perfect. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you do it.
So several years ago I came up with this real fun research project that wound up turning into a lot more than what I anticipated. Ultimately, even one of the goals here was inadvertently made Georgia the 34th state in the United States to legalize the cultivation of actual marijuana, and I think we were maybe 44 or 47 to be able to cultivate hemp. And the whole goal of the project was to get as close to gaining access to marijuana as we could. And then the end, here we do a lot of things that were formerly known as marijuana products. We do under the auspices of hemp, under the Department of Agriculture. So it's been a long-running project. The Georgia Cannabis Project paved the way for a lot of folks here in the state of Georgia. And it is the reason why we were able to start the Augusta Hemp Company was, I didn't want to do all the work without actually getting to partake in some of the fun. And so by default, that due to an error on my part, I forgot to turn in the paperwork. And Joel with the Georgia Hemp Company, I believe, is, in my rightful mind, is the first legal cannabis company in Georgia, and by default, the Augusta Hemp Company is the second legal cannabis company in the state of Georgia. So it's been a lot of trial and errors, including delaying me and you being able to get started since the first of the year, because they were trying to make an example out of us again, using me as the poster child of what to do, what not to do, and we got tied up in the middle of a lot of banking debacles, or just problems is the best way to describe it. And so it's turned went to a research project to what my wife Dana calls a very expensive hobby.
So how long have you been in this right now? How long has this been going on?
So I didn't even start looking into cannabis as any type of anything. I was a teetotaler. I think you remember that. I was one of the most anti-cannabis persons on the face of the planet. And then I had the misfortune, August of 2015, I had a stroke. And it caused me to look into a lot of, obviously, alternative methods. And cannabis was one of the outs for me. I recovered, and I'm back in practice now. I practice full time, and it was a really pivotal moment for me in my life, because my friends are all narcotics and SWAT, and I own a gun range. I had to actually, that was the biggest problem I have with all this, is I had to actually give up firearms altogether, because you can't do both. And I had the fun stuff, the pew pew pew, and and I had to walk away from it. And it's a trade-off, because now, and I forgot what your original question is here, but it's okay. It's definitely been a learning experience here.
Yeah. Has it been somewhat of a uphill battle for you? Because I know with cannabis, especially in this country, with how it's been,
Right.
It's been, criminalized for the most part ever since. Well, it's a big history. I'm sure you know about the history, but it started all off with propaganda. Now people are still propagandizing it, and taking it to that level.
Yeah, that was fun. Again, like I got into it in 2015, just as and then in 2016 it became a research project, and eventually it ended up named as the Georgia Cannabis Project. And I thought I was still doing a research project. Next thing I know, it's kind of fun to say. I say this to people all the time. Pinch me, is this real? Because it wound up being, under the Trump administration, getting in 2018. Even backing up before that, February of 2017, I was basically given the green light. This is going to be a real thing. And next thing I know, I'm in the driver's seat for a lot of things, politics, law. But it has not been a walk in the park. We take about one step forward. I'm sure my assistant Chris, he'll tell you, we might take a step forward, but sometimes we fall about 6 to 8 backwards. And so, it's been a labor of love. I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
So you spoke on politics about that. Elaborate a little bit more. What exactly is the politics that run into this whenever you do try to start up a company like this in the United States that we are in right now?
Right now, the political spectrum is it's getting really tight and narrow here in the state of Georgia. I can't emphasize this enough. All things rest upon the shoulders of the state of Georgia, and our legalization of the cultivation of marijuana specifically landed us. We were the 34th state in the union, and so by doing that, now that's a constitutional issue that we're working on. Even though I have the Georgia Cannabis Project later on, and I'll say this on your podcast, we announced it at a good friend of mine, Joe Fell's dinner, that we're going to start working on the National Cannabis Project, and it's kind of already going. It's already up and going, but it's a lot of politics involved. And one of the ways that, and this is really hard to explain because, depending on what side of the fence you're on when it comes to political spectrum, I used Trump as a diversion for the years of his term to get a lot of this stuff done. And with people screaming at the television set, all that great stuff, we were essentially able to take most of the products formerly known as marijuana products, and there's one, and it's my fault. I'll take credit for that. We weren't able to get flower with smokables, flower and vapes, but we did come around. We were talking about earlier. We have those pre-rolled joints, so we've kind of found some workarounds for that. But in the end, it's a constant fight of having to walk around doing loopholes and. All this to say, Trump was a diversion, and we were able to get it done. We were able to take everything that was formerly known as this marijuana product and place it under the auspices of hemp. Took it a step further, and we placed it under the Department of Agriculture. That was really important because politics-wise, when we do recreational marijuana, which is pretty much what we're doing here in Georgia, anything hemp, so call it what you want. It's recreational. Even though we do have great medical programs with True Leave, they're wonderful. But the politics is this: when everyone was screaming and hollering during those 4 years, it was the best time ever to get this done, and it was kind of like a Trojan horse event. We took everything formerly known as marijuana, shoved it under hemp, protected the 2018 Farm Bill, December 20th, 2018, and Trump signed it after it was a fast-track bill that originated in the Senate, April 2018. So it's been a dream come true seeing this. And another thing in the politics of this, it's really interesting having to explain this. Marijuana no longer exists as a plant in the United States anymore after this December 20th, 2018 bill. And that's where I come in explaining all this and kind of arbitrating, I guess, if you will. There's a lot of science. And we're in that age where everybody's talking about trust the science, that sort of thing. And I have a chemistry background, a biology background, and I'm full of shit. I'm arguing my way out of a wet paper bag, I guess. But trying to marry all that together to say this, marijuana is no longer a plant. We intentionally, accidentally did not assign it a genus and species, but we did for hemp, and we defined hemp as cannabis with a capital C. It's very important now that you spell it with a capital C and a single underline because this is the genus. And in the process, what did that make marijuana? If you say, well, it's not a plant, I've smoked it before. Well, okay. In terms of the law, it's different than what you see in a dispensary. It's a molecule now. And so this molecule is known as the Delta-9 molecule. And so I love it. I just had actually somebody the other day that came in and was like, well, I think I'd rather have marijuana edibles. I don't want this Delta-9 stuff. And I'm like, oh, God. If you go out west, if you go out west and you purchase edibles anywhere out west and it says X% THC, Well, that's what marijuana is now. It's THC, obviously, but it is a single molecule. It's the Delta 9 molecule that you're purchasing in that percentage. And so, brilliant enough, when we were able to hide a lot of this stuff too, we were able, back to politics, we were able to put this under farming. And so by putting this under farming, this is where it gets really interesting. We're covered by a lot of the farming acts in the United States to where, for instance, we don't have to. It would be illegal for them to put any excessive taxes on an agricultural commodity. It's both federally illegal, and I believe it's illegal in the state. So, and you go to these states where there is recreational marijuana. We heard, like, I think it was Illinois, maybe Chicago or somewhere. It was getting up to like 20% sales tax. Well,
wow.
Here. It's illegal, and federally, it's illegal to put any excessive levies or taxes, I believe is the term, on agricultural commodities. So it would be illegal to charge an excessive tax on hemp because of it being an agricultural commodity, much like it would be illegal for you to charge any excessive sales tax on corn, cotton, peanuts, or hemp. They're all agricultural commodities. So it's been fun. It's a lot of politics involved, and just like right now, being on your podcast is actually pretty fun, getting this word out. I know that I've been fortunate. I've got to go, thanks to your mom, actually. Miss Dina, one of my favorite people in the world. She was actually in our very first commercial.
She told me if I have to mention her every podcast, I'm like, Mom, sometimes I can't mention you every time. Sometimes it just doesn't fall into place like that.
So I got better than this. So not only mentioning her, so she was in the hemp company's first commercial. Yep. I actually had Fox, of all the conservative people in the world talking about politics, Fox 54 here in Augusta, Georgia, actually approached me and said, we heard you're the guy. and I don't know if I should mention the lady's name, but she's not with them anymore. But there was a lot of great discussions, and we were able to get for the just specifically for the state of Georgia that I'm aware, if there's anything that changes, I got quickly corrected. I thought we were the first in the country to do a series of a television advertisement. I thought we were the first in the country, and I found out that who was first. It was actually somebody from North Carolina, and we gave her credit. But when we did the first cannabis company commercial from the state of Georgia, the next thing was I had to find people that were willing to be in it and
be a part of what is hemp and marijuana. Yeah.
And your mom was like, just say when. So we've always been big. We're actually. I tell folks we self-identify as part of the young blood family.
Yes, absolutely. we're always taking applications for sure.
And I can't tell you for how long your mom kidnapped Madison on her own, her own volition. Madison was like, I don't want to come home. I want to live with Miss Dina, and then your sister Ansley, she's like another little baby sister in the bunch. Yeah. So that's one of those things. It was great. She has also helped me get on episodes like the Austin Rhodes show, and going back to politics here one more time. Other than the support of, believe it or not, some of the most conservative people I know, 100% all of the news agencies have completely kept this in the dark. Yeah. Because the narrative is political narratives or optics, as we call them. Orange man bad, and that's sad because when we talk about it, I was talking to you earlier, there's been 2 attempts in our lifetime by presidents to legalize cannabis with a capital C, and only one was successful. And so it's fun when people ask me who are your 2 most favorite presidents, and I kind of bump Reagan out of the mix now, and I tell them Obama and Trump. Yeah. And they go, wait, no, those are 2 opposite people.
When it comes to polarity, it's huge, right?
But they were right in the heart. And remember, I told you I was a teetotaler. I thought this was dope. I still call it dope this day. And people come in, I'm dressed in 5'11" pants, and they're like, nobody's going to buy dope from a cop. Yeah, it is definitely turned the world upside down. And then Trump came in and did it right with respect to we were able to get banking in there. A lot of people lost everything, their livelihoods. As part of my investigation with the Georgia Cannabis Project was finding all the things that were done wrong and how to correct it. And even earlier, I don't know if me and you were having this conversation. It is legally impossible to legalize marijuana in the United States, much less the state of Georgia.
Which is insane, right? Because we were talking about before the podcast about alcohol and how it kills tens of thousands of people, whether it's direct with, liver disease or heart disease or accidents and, car accidents and stuff like that. And you see it all over the TV, Bud Light, Miller Light, Coors Light, everywhere.
I even researched it a little bit step further, not to cut you off here.
Yeah.
I could not find a single instance from any sheriff's department, statistics-wise, that there has ever been a domestic dispute where marijuana was the culprit.
Yeah.
And, so we saw that. Accident-related deaths are one thing. However, I'm not going to say there's none of those, but to date, look at our fentanyl problem. I lost a niece just 2 years ago. And to date, there have been absolutely no, hey, Chris, there's somebody coming in, by the way. To date, there have been absolutely zero deaths associated with cannabis. So, it's insane.
Yeah, I read into it myself. And most of those, so they can't directly, pinpoint, let's say someone is high at the time during some type of dispute or they can't pinpoint that was the reason for that thing to happen. You know what I mean? So it's kind of insane how it's been looked at over the years, for sure, because I don't know if it's a money issue. Like maybe, for instance, you were talking about how you can't put a tax on it now or a tax over whatever is already standardized.
Right.
Do you think that's one of the reasons in the case because they can't make more money off it? Do you think money is another issue with it?
Well, that definitely plays into it, and that's one of the reasons why we were able to make traction politically with putting everything under the auspices of hemp. However, and this is just one. There's several factors, but one of the ones that I came across and it's great. Well, actually, I don't think I've ever released this information, so this is a first.
Perfect. Extra. Read all about it.
Right. So, regardless of how you feel inside, whatever, you can stand and scream, flop it on the, you know what I mean? Facts are facts. And so I'll give you a hypothetical situation here. Like, let's say today you're the governor and you go and you write a law. And I'm going to you just answer these questions, and this will make for fun here. So let's say that you're going to write a law today. I'm your advisor, and we write a law. And the first thing you're going to do is I went to friends. I was like, hey, well, what would you do? And they said, well, I just pass a law. And like, what would this law say? And they said, well, marijuana is legal. Sign it. Okay, great. So that's the first thing we'll start right there. And this is, again, there's several other factors here, but this one's a really, 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 really tough one to digest. And so how would you spell it?
So obviously, as governor, I would have councilmen and whatnot. When it comes to laws, it's very, very hard to pass laws solely because you have both sides looking at it. But obviously, you would have to have scientists. You have to look into it. That's probably one of the reasons why these bills take so long to pass. But when it comes to legalizing cannabis, obviously there have to be an age structure for it, right? You obviously have to have an age structure.
So the good thing is, that with all that absent, the initial question here is a simple one: how would you spell marijuana? This is the trick question. This is
within the bill.
Yes. How would you spell it?
Well, obviously, speaking how you are and coming from that background, obviously, as a governor, I would have to have that knowledge, right?
So there's two spellings for marijuana, and so let's say that you write the law and you spell it marijuana, marijuana. Okay. However, you go ahead and sign it into law. And let's say that as of this afternoon, you sign into the law, you give your press conferences that you just legalized marijuana.
Yeah.
And, you pat yourself on the back, right? Political optics. Well, here's the fun part. If you were arrested, switching gears here for a murder or just anything, right? And they misspell your name, in court documents, that it's thrown out. So spelling means everything in an age where we've got, specific pronouns and all this other fun stuff. And so if you spell it Marijuana, well, you are correct, but what happens if that's the only way you spell it in the law? And there are counties in the state of Georgia that have it Marihuana based on the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937. So there's variations in the spelling.
Yeah.
So that's where this got tricky, and where folks like myself, I like to say I'm the dumbest, smartest person in the world. I just helped. I'm a good helper monkey. But that divided being able to write one law with a single spelling. So you have two variations, and it splits it. So the goal and the object and the premise behind the Senate Subcommittee for Industrial Hemp that was appointed, headed up by the Turtle, Mitch McConnell, in 2018, was to find a common denominator. And it came to where we had just scrapped the word marijuana, and we went for that molecule, that delta-9 molecule. And then even so, it's how much of that molecule is present. Yeah. Because once it goes, it's so funny because here in the state of Georgia, if you have an actual hemp seed, you grow it like we did at the University of Georgia, when that seed comes up out of the ground, we actually have a product called Milhous string theory.
Yeah.
And it was
Isn't that dope?
It's kind of fun now that we just get to
because looking back at different theories, you have like the Darwin, you have all that. Now you have one for yourself,
right? So these hemp plants here in the state of Georgia, because of the bees, the pollen, all these things, part of this theory was they will self-induce from hemp, and the heat, the humidity, everything will cause them to grow above the 0.3 threshold is the limit for 0.3%. And once they go past that 0.3, that's proof that it's a molecule. The moment it goes above that threshold, it instantly, let's just say hypothetically at 0.4%, guess what? You now have marijuana.
Yeah.
So it's fun that then you have to go through a process, which is great. Another thing Trump refused to sign the bill was unless we had banking and crop insurance. And once we got the crop insurance, like now, you would have to notify the state that this is called the reverse distribution process. That's actually the name of it. Yeah. They send a reverse distribution agent out, and all that is fancy terms. They come and burn your shit in a pile. and they, again, if you're fortunate enough to be downwind of said pile, hopefully that percentage was fitting, and instead of tears, you get some red eyes. But it's a lot of things to this, and like I said with that molecule thing, that was the common denominator, and so it's so interesting having to explain to someone over on the West Coast, and I get this all the time. Well, yeah, man, I was at Woodstock, man. I know weed, man, and then you have all the guys from the West Coast that I've talked to. Had some really interesting characters. I don't know I should name all of them, but I've had a lot of interesting characters from the West Coast reach out to me, and I've had to teach them, guys, I'm sorry, I know in a state where you cultivate marijuana, it's no such thing as a plant anymore. It's now a molecule.
Yeah.
And it takes about a good hour and a half, 2 hours, good lecture material, and it's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, so going back to the political standpoint, and we were talking about the governor, why couldn't the governor himself be like, okay, this is going to be the name of the bill. Obviously, your counties and different, you have your rights, but this is going to be statewide. We're going to name it this, and this is going to be the name of it, and this is how we're going to distribute it, my bad. Why can't he just name it as such and do it that way? That way there's no issues with, legalization.
Sure thing.
Of it.
So, like I said, so if we do it with the spelling of Marij and we sign it into law, then there's going to be counties with it spelled Marih. So you wrote a law only protecting the J people. The people with the H spelling are still going to be in this gray zone and not protected. But I know it's just actually a very simple problem.
I guess my biggest thing is why can't he go in and be like, okay, y'all may have it spelled this way, but now on legal documents it'll be spelled this way. Why can't he change that to where it's there is no
Sure thing. So with a broad stroke of this pen here, I guess just summarize. So we took the approach of putting it under hemp. Mm-hmm. Okay, and by doing so, it's a very fun but complicated process of weight. That's why we couldn't get flowers, because this is weight based, and depending on the weight of the final product is actually how much THC. And did you know that on July 24th, 2021, tooting my own horn again here, part of this whole Georgia Cannabis Project experience, making sure things got to where they needed. But July 24th, 2021, the first 6 marijuana cultivation licenses went out into private hands in the state of Georgia in my lifetime. Did you know that?
No.
So there were 7 total. 1 went to UGA. I acquiesced. I had backing. I had financial support. I had lawyers. I had the whole 9 yards. But I kind of backed up and really had to have a moment with God here, because there were people who were applying for these first 6 licenses. One of them's last name was Wrigley. Mm-hmm. Wrigley's Field, yeah. Wrigley's Gum. Yeah. And so, glad. But it's so funny that and this is such a hard thing to explain. So we did all this stuff with hemp, and it's all a mess. But for the first time in the United States, not only in Georgia, are we able to cultivate marijuana, but this is the irony of it, is we are cultivating marijuana plants for the purposes of making the hemp products. Yeah. The THC only comes from one place, and I'm so sorry to tell everybody that I remember seeing at the University of Georgia, I think the president of the School of Ag maybe had made this comment, someone did, you could smoke an entire acre of hemp and you will likely get lung cancer before you get high. And there's just not enough THC in there. So it's just interesting where we are. Georgia's one of them. Even though those are in private hands, I don't know what the status of all of them. I've got my own problems I've had with banking and the fun stuff that's kept us apart, yeah. But it's so funny to tell people that did you know that we are now growing marijuana to make hemp products? And then people look at you and they go, but I thought it was CBD. No, well, that's what everybody thought at first. Yeah. And then politicians lie, they got lied to on this one, and now the governor's with HB 494, we're kind of wrapped up in the middle of that right now. They're trying to go in and unbackdoor all these loopholes and take away a lot of the stuff. But the sad part about it is the one thing that we may be losing, and as a result, I learned one time, your grandfather, I asked him one time, the plumber, grandfather, Mr. Youngblood, I asked him, is this true? I said, what are the 2 things you need to know to be a plumber? And he says, I don't know. It sounds like you having something to say or whatever. And I said, that shit only rolls downhill and payday's on Friday. He's like, that's the truest thing I've ever heard.
That sounds like him.
And so everything just rolls downhill and it's cause and effect. And we hear people all the time in the political spectrum. We have consequences to our actions, and so as a result of HB 494, we're all wrapped up in the middle of this right now, trying to save THCA flower, and this would be a good subject to talk about here too. So this HB 494. I'm actually going to put a Facebook post up this week.
And I'll share it. Anybody who wants to look at it, I'll definitely share it. And
I think we should, because I'm going to put up a post. I know my good friend at Franny's Pharmacy, Mr. Franklin. He can probably help me get a link to. Got some great guys here. Franny's Pharmacy guy here out there in Evans, and then my buddy at Top Choice, Tony Coleman. We've got a lot of big names here, and all of us are noticing that with this ban that we will particularly lose. This is a staggering statistic here. If we ban THCA flower, that we're going to lose approximately 85 to 90+% of the new cannabis companies that just opened up under all this. We're supposed to have these billions of dollars of the economy, and we're going to lose them because they're not going to be able to sell THCA flower. And the reason why I brought up Franklin and Tony, Franklin's at Franny's Pharmacy. I have a lot of history with Miss, met Miss Franny. Solid company, love them. And right now, I know that on the Franny's Pharmacy website that the Georgia Department of Agriculture, they have a link on there where the citizens of the state of Georgia can actually go in through, let's see, I think it's September the 12th, and you can go in and argue, make oral arguments with the Department of Agriculture why we need to save THCA. And I think it's a really good segue. Are you familiar with THCA flower?
I am not. Yeah, please enlighten me on that for sure.
So when I told you we took a myriad of marijuana products, what we could grab, so we break it down into 3 subsections now. It's drinks. You've heard a lot about them nowadays.
Nowadays, yeah.
I know. I'm so happy to.
Chris, will you grab one for us?
Yeah, we've got nowadays. We've got Moon. I'm working on some good stuff with a good friend of mine, Joe Fells. He's another wonderful personality. We're really hitting the drink industry hard because it's an alcohol substitute at the end of the day, including Michelle Rudder at Sugar and Spice Drink Company, drink mixers. There we go. That's what started it all. Nowadays,
this is 10 milligram THC infused. Right. Explain this a little bit more for the people out there that don't know a lot about it.
So they're a West Coast company, and in that we started off with burping here, I'm rude. Haven't had anything to drink yet. So basically you take that and you take a standard shot glass of 1.5 ounces, okay, and that's how you measure it. Now for the nowadays is different than the Moon, but the common denominator is that you measure them in a 1.5 ounce glass, and we have all this stuff on the website, by the way. We ship to 50 states. We can't be blocked because it's protected under Farming Acts that it's illegal to block agricultural commodities coming in the state. So
loopholes are the best.
Right. Farming Act of 1946.
That's all politics is, the loopholes. That's all it is. I mean, if you go down, I don't know if you've been down wormholes for politics. There's so many loopholes in politics, man.
Even worse, working on the other side of the curtain, knowing what's happened, and literally being on that other side of the curtain, then you come out and you're like, oh God, what did I do? It's like meeting your celebrity, you're like me meeting Axl Rose maybe one day, but it's they say you don't be careful, you don't want to meet your celebrity, you might hate them, And
they may be rude, they may be in a context where they don't want to talk.
Politics are rude. They will drag you down and beat you, and so you take 1.5 ounces of this. Okay?
So basically like a shot glass.
Just a regular standard shot glass, 1.5 ounces, and that will give you right at 10 milligrams of THC. So we're going to talk about that. This is a little bit different. People are familiar with like edibles. Back to some chemistry. Edibles are fat and oil soluble. So this is new, even for the East Coast. What I'm so glad to have been able to be a pioneer and bring this here is this is water soluble THC.
Okay.
And so all of our drinks is a whole new category that has always been there, but it's kind of a whole new because now we have access to nanoparticle, all this cool chemistry stuff, but it's water soluble. So when you take this shot nowadays and Moon, you take that shot, you can go and set a timer. And when you set this timer, it's usually about 21 minutes. 21 minutes flat across the board here, you're going to feel some effect. And think about that. That's just like alcohol.
Absolutely.
So it's filling that void for people who need something, that de-stress. And I tell people, do not go into this expecting, that one time you ate edibles or you smoked weed. This is not the same. This is water soluble. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's 21 minutes versus an edible. You hear Joe Rogan talking about. You just never know when they're going to pop up.
I can
I
attest
neither
to that.
can confirm nor deny, but I'll tell you, they're sneaky as shit.
And then sometimes they won't. So I swear I've had some where they don't hit it all. I'm just like, what is going on?
You know what? It's like eating Harbo. Harbo gummies. They're so damn good. But I've eaten a whole bag of one and didn't get a lift off. So we got the drink category, and I think the original subject here was we've got 3 categories, right? So the first category is drinks. Okay. So potable. We'll say that. And then, Lost my headphones here.
Yeah, just lay it down. There you go.
I feel like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. There we go.
There we go.
So the second category, going from left to right here, the next category would be edibles, and I told you that's fat and oil soluble.
Yeah.
And then the third is going to be the smokables. All right. So that's your vape pens and that's your flour. All right. Because all of these, and if you want, I can actually go through the legality of how we can actually have this here. Because a lot of people do want to know.
Yeah, for sure. So if I have this in my car and I get pulled over, what are the chances? Or what exactly is going to happen?
Great, you're probably going to go to jail. But it's legal. All right, guess what? Alcohol has been legal in the Constitution of the United States since December 5th, 1933.
So even if I just have this in the car.
If you get pulled over with an open container, what are you doing? You're going to get a ticket to go to jail.
Yeah.
So I tell people when they purchase this, keep it in the bag, put it in the trunk, put it somewhere else, get it to the house, and do not travel with it, especially if it's open.
Yeah.
So that puts you in a category that can actually still, depending on how that officer is, having a good day or not. I don't recommend that, especially like a lot of our vape cartridges we sell, even the CBD ones.
Yeah.
They look like the THC ones, and you might be a jerk, and then that officer is just looking for somebody to take to jail.
Yeah.
Then you call a good lawyer.
So with this, even if it's closed just like this and I have it in my car?
The chances of it with it being closed up, the good part about this is we have like QR codes and stuff now on the back of all the products.
Which is great. That way you can show
it's instant access for but again, you still might get arrested. You still might have to go to jail, but then you got to hire an attorney. And when you show up to court, well, you've got all the evidence. We can prove it as hemp, right? And so then that's only if they charge you with marijuana.
So what are the chances if I have this? Let's say I have it out the door. I'm riding down the street and I have it right out here, and someone pulls me over. Is that a lawsuit waiting to happen for the cop?
It is a Fourth Amendment issue all the way around.
Yeah.
In fact, one day I'll tell the story about how I literally had to threaten to turn myself into the Georgia Bureau of Investigation over all this stuff because it's Fourth Amendment problems left and right.
So for people who don't know Fourth Amendment, go ahead, because I know a lot of people listening won't know what that is. And
that's right. Illegal search and seizure.
Yeah.
You have to have a warrant for certain things. Ooh, you lost your phone here, buddy. But there's that. But so the legality of this, it gets really fun because we have to go back to the law. And so when they first saw the law, when it first left the Senate Subcommittee for Industrial Hemp, there was 21 members, 18 voted yes, 2 voted no, and 1 refused to vote. When it left that Senate Subcommittee, and I had at the time got to sit down with a few moments to look through it, I'm like, oh God, we got to stop this. It's a fast track. It's guaranteed to be signed. We just legalized marijuana. And but either way, let's see here. Might have to edit this part because I lost my train of thought here. The way this works is if we were to hypothetically, let's say that this armrest is a Georgia Department of Agriculture scale. Okay. Now, the legal words say that hemp is federally defined as, first, cannabis sativa, capital L for the Linnaeus. We'll have another discussion on that later. And then it is 0.3% delta less than 0.3% delta non-THC. So then there's a comma or, and the end of it is it's based on the weight of the final product. Okay. So what we do is we take a Department of Agriculture scale, and I'm going to go really fast through this. You can replay it and look it all up. It's great stuff. You can Google it. It's just physics. So this is a 750 ml bottle.
Yep.
All right. So 750 milliliters. Before we put it on a scale, we can assume that with the specific weight of gravity, water being 1.0084, something like that. Either way, we end up saying that 750 milliliters is 750,000 milligrams by the time. You remember the old conversions, cups to quarts, and absolutely. So here we go. So 750 mLs converted over to milligrams would be 750,000 milligrams. You got a calculator?
Yeah.
So watch this. This is so fun. It's actually more fun when you do it on your own. And so you put in 750,000.
All right.
And then multiply it times 0.3%.
Okay. You get 22,500.
Let's see here. So it's actually supposed we're off somewhere. We'll come back to that. So 750,000 and then multiply it times 0.003.
Oh, 03.
There
okay,
we
that's
go.
where. Okay,
All right, so
2,200.
let me explain that number to you, okay? So if we take this and we put it on the Department of Agriculture, again, sorry, law enforcement, this is a Department of Agriculture issue. Sorry, Department of Revenue, I've already had to deal with. There's no ethanol in here, so all these other agencies have to stand down. Well, we put it on this scale, and it weighs 750,000 milligrams. That's the weight of the final product. So we can, by law, multiply it times 0.003, and that gives us 2,250. So that is to say that there is, according to one of the loopholes, I can put 2,250 milligrams of THC in this bottle, Delta 9, marijuana molecule, right? And we can still sell it under the auspices of hemp.
Okay.
So if it goes to 2,251, then that would be marijuana in a bottle. So as long as we stay with this weight-based ratio.
That is so crazy.
Isn't that cool?
That is insane.
And so that's how we do it with our gummies. Then something like, you'll see some gummies that weigh a pound, right? I'm not being ridiculous. So you've seen those 5-pound gummy bears, right?
Yes. Y'all make some like that?
So there are some companies that have made some that are just, are we allowed to swear on this show?
Absolutely.
Fucking ridiculously sized gummies. And it's so
Right
that literally one of them's like, it's called the Big Triangle or something like that. And I am not shitting you. It probably weighed a half a pound. But then you do the math. If that sucker weighs a half a pound, that's how much weed we can come back and put in the final product. So you get the final product weight up, and it's a ratio based on the final product.
Yeah.
So that's basically how the law of the land is when we're doing drinks, and it also applies to edibles.
Yeah.
Now, segueing into THCA flower, and we'll do many other podcasts on this if we need to start concentrating on things. I said there was one thing we couldn't get. I take the blame for it. We cannot get for smokables, for flower, and especially vape cartridges. Everybody wants the good, the vape cartridges. You cannot get enough weight to have enough to substantiate the percentage of the Delta 9, because it's pure Delta 9.
So that makes a lot more sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we did was, and I say this is just a collaboration, just smart people. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people that I found out that were always accused of being dumb. They were really just smart people, had damn good ideas.
Yeah.
And so it's what was that?
What was what?
Maybe I was just getting some feedback there or something. But so the workaround is, the first question is, remember what I told you, we identified what molecule marijuana is, and it's the Delta 9 molecule, right? And that's it. So when we look at it, marijuana is composed of everything from CBD, CBG, CBN, same as hemp, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different layers to it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there's just think about it. You just take it, you smash it with a hammer, and it busts into pieces. But somebody picked up this Delta 9, and there's all these other molecules that are laying around, and they're both in hemp, and they're both in marijuana. But now marijuana is one molecule. So the plant is the cannabis plant, and so therefore the question is, well, Dr. Milhous, is THCA found in hemp? Yes. So if it's found in hemp, then it's covered under the 2018 Farm Bill.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what gets fun. This gets real fun. There's two ways to obtain THCA. Actually, multiple ways. We'll do a couple of them. These are real fun. So we have THCA flower, okay? That's basically where, and I'm just going to go quick. This is just a hypothetical situation, but maybe real. You grow a plant all the way up through the stage, I believe it's called anesthesis. You grow it up the plant stage. And let's say it takes 8 weeks for this normal plant to grow. And then you start testing it. Let's say it's 8-week plant. You start testing it maybe 5.5. I'm just rounding this off. And this is not accurate. It's just for discussion. And then you go up and you test it, and you see it's in the highest point of its THCA flowering stage.
Yeah.
And you cut it. You're arrested in that THCA stage. Well, if you were to let it go all the way through, then of course it's going to meet its peak of the Delta 9 concentration, and again, boom, now you're in marijuana. So You can actually, breed plants to be higher in THCA. There's a lot of tricks in there, but this is just one of them that we just discussed as a hypothetical. And there's another way. So you can, of course, you'll have that. That's THCA flower. Okay.
Yeah.
And then all this to say too, in California you have literally chemistry labs. Let's just say manufacturers that have 55-gallon drums of Delta 9 laying around. It's already been extracted from the plant. It's just sitting here. So you can take the Delta 9 product, and you can actually take that and purify it to its purest form. Mm-hmm. And you will probably, your listeners have probably heard there's a term I got introduced to several years ago. It's called diamonds. Diamonds, you would typically go out to a western state in a marijuana dispensary, mm-hmm. and these diamonds are the purest form of THCA. In fact, they're so pure that it's no longer the Delta 9 molecule, it's now THCA, which is for acid. So it's in a completely different stage. So ironically, out west, that's sold as marijuana. Here in the state of Georgia, we actually sell THCA diamonds that you can use in your dab rigs and stuff like that. It's insane. But the bottom line is these companies have tons of Delta 9 laying around. They found out, wait, we can get away with this in Georgia if it's in the THCA stage. So let's go ahead and purify it to where it looks literally like scary, because when you first open it up, people go, oh, is that meth?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Did you just turn into Walter White? Shit. It's
Love
not
that
the blue
shit, by
method.
the way.
It's not the blue method.
It's not blue.
It looks like salt. Is this bath salt? Oh God. So then, there's the ignorant stage for a lot of us there. But so THCA, let's boil this down. Let's say you take those crystals, so the purified THCA crystals, diamonds, and then you take those and you keep it in liquid form, and you go and dip hemp flower, right? You go and you dip this THCA hemp flower. Well, when you do the testing of the hemp flower, it's below that 0.3 threshold. Mm-hmm. So it's still hemp.
Yeah.
High in THCA. And then you go and dip it in liquid THCA, or you can just like we do, we sell it. It's actually ground up in our 2-gram pre-rolls with diamonds scattered throughout. And the end of the line here is at the end of the day, what happens when you apply heat to THCA?
Oh, is that a question for me to ask?
What happens? Yes, what happens?
THCA, so I'm assuming I'm going to get the answer wrong here, because obviously you have the answers. So what exactly does happen whenever you...
You put a little bit of heat to THCA.
Uh-huh.
Remember, that's legal here for Georgia. Somebody's coming in there, brother. So THCA is legal in Georgia, right, under hemp. But once you leave my premises, once you get home, you cannot do it here. And I cannot tell you to do it. Wink. Right? Once you apply about 200-something degrees to it or so, I forget what it is right now, but whatever, you light it on fire, THCA converts back to Delta 9.
Interesting.
So it's a loophole for marijuana, and people are like, I don't know, that's hemp. They don't know what they're doing. They're just
Absolutely.
And again, this is all stuff, when I talk to people in California, they have no idea because they don't know what's going on too.
This is a shit ton of layers. I did not expect. So obviously, I have a good amount, or decent. I won't say a good amount. Decent amount of knowledge when it comes to hemp. Hemp
and just
THC,
cannabis. Period.
Cannabis.
Right?
Period. And for this to have this many layers to have to deal with, not only on your scale but at the political scale.
Right. And I have to keep it all balanced. I have to keep all this organized. I have to keep everything reported. And that's part of the reason why the hemp company exists. It's the biggest and most expensive.
How much paperwork do you have to fill out?
Fuck. The good thing, though, is now we just learned after going through an FDA audit and going through all this banking the fiasco, a lot of it's digital signatures now, and thank God, because that can be done, remediated fast. But, yeah, it is insane. And so it's a labor of love. I keep saying that, but then I'm really lying to you. There's days where I'm like, I literally have said this before. I'm like, I just want to go walk in front of a bus because we're right here on Washington Road, right across from the National. And I'm like, man, I just want to go walk in front of a bus. And my wife would go, what good would that do? And I'm like, I don't have to worry about this anymore.
Especially speaking, you're right across the street from the Masters. That's the like the angel. That's
Hallelujah.
yeah, and
So-
and then over here, this is looked at as the dirty scale, and oh, you're dealing with drugs and blah blah
So,
blah.
I'm glad. Oh man, I'm so glad you brought that up. This is such a great thing too. So I'm a National Hills resident.
Yeah.
I almost had a green jacket in my family. That's actually my life goal. We are directly connected to the National through my grandfather, and again, we National Hills, Forest Park side we live on. And so after doing all the legalization stuff, I actually last August. This will be a first too. We'll put this on your show here.
Perfect. I love it. Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to get in trouble for it, but if I do, well, you'll get the cease and desist. I won't. They'll just
Yeah, no, I've already got that on one podcast already. Two actually.
Oh man, it's funny. So even in the first legal field when I had my pictures taken,
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Augusta National shirt, my hat. It's 24/7 all day, every day. It's my golf club, I always
Yeah.
say. And so I had gone through this issue where we couldn't get a business license, even though I did all this legalization stuff, and I had to go back. I was forced to go back into practice. We went under. I actually have an EBT card with my name on it. I'll show it to you
Wow.
if you want to actually see it one day. We literally lost everything again and again and again, and it was like, God, is this ever going to end? And proof that God answers prayers. We finally made it through. I had a huge break. The city of Augusta, I'm not going to say too much about that because it could have and it should have been, as everyone said, you should have sued the living hell out of Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And we saw a very similar instance where this happened years ago with the X-Mart. They wouldn't let them get a business license because it was a pornography store. Well, this is the same thing. It's protected under the First Amendment. This is my property. You know, you've been coming here since you were a kid.
Absolutely. No, you popped my shoulder back in the place right over here.
Right, football.
Yeah.
I kept you going, man.
Yeah.
And you know, I grew up in here, so we're not fly by night. Had my diapers changed in this office in 1977 forward, and all this to say, I was trying to get my zoning changed because I wanted to have in the back room back here. You met Christopher.
Yeah.
He's now my assistant here. Christopher Duncan's my right hand man, and so we just want to be able to sell. You know, even back in the old days when it was just CBD oil before we advanced past Delta 8.
And people were scared of that when it first came out. I remember. But my mom's a big oil person. You know, she got everything, lemon, and whenever that was introduced, she was like, I don't know, does this have traces of THC in it? She had so many different questions.
Right, and then I got her into the terpenes and stuff like that, which was amazing, you know. But
My dad loves you, by the way.
I know. Oh, I love Addie. Addie's my brother, man.
My dad loves you, by the way. Shout out to Dad, but
The whole family. You just cannot undersell how close we are to the Youngblood family, you know. So back to the city of Augusta just wouldn't let us get zoned, and it kept being said down there in the zoning planning development several things. Either A, the National's going to move Washington Road, they're going to make it into an airstrip. Oh, there's all these rumors that were floating around. We could never get to the bottom of it. And finally, I got tired of it after 5 years of not being able to open and watching my dream just getting crushed and crushed and crushed. Thank God I have a perfect wife. We've been together 29 years here. We've been literally since we were kids, 15, 17 years old, and never been apart. And we made it through this just because we're so close. We kept losing everything, and so we couldn't open up. And finally, all this to say, last August, I just decided I was not going to give it another shot, knowing we had the drinks coming. Okay, so I knew the drinks were coming over. I guess big green wave, right?
Yeah.
So I tried to get positioned and I had to get a business license, and then this bill HB 494 that we're kind of fighting. There's a lot of it I'm very happy with. In particular, where you're going to have a license to sell cannabis. You just can't open it up and sell it in a gas station. Because remember, we talked about that. You don't know where some of this shit comes from. You know what I mean? So it's going to help with that. So I knew all this was coming. Again, I'm knee-deep in it all, and I needed this business license. And so this one time, rather than go through the jumping through the hoops and, again, bless their hearts, the Southern way of you know what that means. Bless your heart. Your mom says it, right?
Bless your heart.
My wife says it. Bless your heart. I could not find it in me to go back to the city this go round, and going back to it this go round, instead of going to the city, which was telling us it's because of my golf club that you won't meet anybody else that's a bigger fan. I promise you that. I mean, for Christ's sake, I wear the brand.
I didn't even know that. He has a tattoo of the National. That's great.
And it's in the spot where my shirt is. In case I got my shirt off. So.
I don't know. Y'all definitely saw that. He has an Augusta National tattoo.
Absolutely. Now, that's why you're going to get the cease and desist, is because of my damn tattoo. It's going to be like Yellowstone. They're going to call. They're going to want the brand back.
Yeah. No, we're good. Honestly, they probably want the exposure. Right, honestly, because in Athens, I mean, so what's funny in Athens, a lot of people think of Augusta as this amazing town, and I'm not saying it isn't, but whenever people look at Augusta, they're like, wow, that's such a nice town. But people that are from here are like, I don't think you know the nitty and gritty of it.
and you know, some really good friends of mine, David and Chris, from my friends, Get On Up Productions there, and Drop the Disc. That's where they came up with Drop the Disc. I've been on their show several times. It was, quit calling it Augusta, Georgia. It's actually a pretty badass place to stay. That's why we're Augusta Hemp Company. You know what I mean? And so we're proud of the AUG, but. So this time, instead of just knowing the misery and knowing it's going to be no because just people just don't understand, and then you bring it up, you know, Trump did it, we're Democrat government down there. Oh, God, then it starts shit. So I actually, this go round, you know, just my grandfather, that was his love. That was what he lived for. He actually died playing golf, true story, on the 18th hole. And so he had a heart attack Christmas Eve, and so playing golf, teeing off. But so I went to the National directly, and I said, listen, I need some help. I'm Sam Milhouse's grandson. They went and, you know, just a couple days later in the story, the National actually came back and said, Dr. Milhouse, whatever you're doing right now, take your zoning paperwork to the city of Augusta, and we got zoned.
Bro, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So, you know how much power they have, man.
Right, and you already heard how much, like, this is like, I'm in the first legal field in the state of Georgia, and there was nothing. You're lucky you called me in an AUG Hemp Company shirt today, because I literally I live for wearing ANGC.
No, I'm glad you did. We get best of both worlds.
Right, got the best of both worlds here, and it is literally something I've been obsessed with since I was 16, and I started working there. And so, again, it's a family thing, and I went to them, and they were able to help me. You know, just that. I think the city's standpoint, and they were right. That's why I never dragged it. That's why I didn't do a lawsuit, because first of all, I'm going to drag them into it. No, God, you know, I get tickets. You know what I mean? I can't screw this up. That's my favorite place.
Sword, for sure, yeah.
That's my wife her place is Disney World. That's her most magical place on earth. But my year runs from the first week of April to the first full week of April.
Yeah.
It's still this day I get butterflies coming around and seeing her at the course, and seeing my wife at the course. But I went to them directly, and they actually. They really do care about Augusta. They showed it to me, and they were very apologetic, and they were very thankful that I understood that it was just a misunderstanding, and that's what we left it as. Yeah. It was just a big misunderstanding, and now, you know, thank God that we were able on January 25th was a big day for me, because I turned in all my paperwork. It was everything was done.
Open up champagne, baby.
I know. And hey, y'all, thank y'all for coming. And so I literally walked out of going to the mayor's office, dropping off my paperwork and everything, and I went to zoning plan and development. I picked up that business license, and for the first time, it says we can sell to the public. We've been online only, so we had to pave that path to be the, you know, if not the first, one of the first to sell weed online.
And that was what you said, 5 years it took?
That was the website.
So not the website, but being able to sell it, in person.
We December 20th, 2018 is when Trump signed it federally, and we had everything up and going. We weren't already doing stuff here, but thanks to Obama. Yeah, actually, very, very thankful for Obama, because we had the.
This is the first time. Hold up, this is the first time someone said thanks Obama, and it was a good thing.
Right, and it's not in jest.
Listen, that's not me taking political sides. It's just, you know, you remember the meme, thanks Obama.
Well, remember what I said. I have my two favorite presidents, and Obama and Trump. They're a tie. They both booted Reagan out of the seat, and it's. I surprise a lot of people, because you know, my Facebook, when you look at my profile, it says liberal, and they're like, wait, what? I'm like, well, here's what's the problem. I'm an old liberal. I actually own a protected wildlife habitat. I own a 28-acre quote-unquote pond. It's really a lake. I had at one time the largest privately owned dam in the state of Georgia. So I'm all into outdoors and stuff like that. Plus, they don't go together when it comes to firearms either, because then it's on the conservative side. But yes, I'm very thankful for President Obama, who started it under the 2014 bill. And that was one of my main themes was I'm not doing this to denigrate. I don't think that it was his. I don't think any of that was his fault. If anything, he was a trailblazer. He did help us get this to where we are now. I hate to say it, that Trump came around and made it better. He and is it still perfect? Well, we still haven't got into our banking problems.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so we're still having problems, but yes, again, thanks Obama. President Obama was definitely one that I credit a lot for the initiation.
Yeah.
We saw, I believe it was that 2007. Oh, wait, hold on, no. I'm sorry, that was like 2009, maybe 10. Was when we first saw the first recreational state under Obama in 2010. So, again, a trailblazer in and of itself. And so then fast forward, that was one of the things I ended up figuring out, why we can't legalize marijuana. What can we do? And then we started looking at hemp, and so frustrating because there's just so many, political downfalls
Absolutely.
and loopholes and rabbit holes. And then the next thing you know, fortunately this go round, the two biggest. Actually, take that back. I didn't think about the crop insurance. I literally didn't think about that. But Trump refused to sign it without the crop insurance, and he refused to sign it, bar none, without protecting the farmers and for them to have banking. Because that was one of the things I found people under the 2014 Farm Bill when I was investigating it, that the common denominator was people were still having their livelihoods seized by both either the feds or the state.
Yeah.
We heard about that with the Pendarvis family growing in South Carolina. The Pendarvis Chevrolet.
I do not know. I didn't know that happened.
They're big into agriculture. It's so fun because I know your mom's an Alabama fan. That will never ever be forgotten.
I'm an LSU fan, so
That's all right, but I don't know how your mom puts up with you with that. But even that's unforgivable. I can live in Alabama. But it's all right.
2019 is what I said. 2019 was the greatest team ever assembled on a national football field.
What's funny is my wife will tell you that so politics is my sports, elections are my Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I go to a Georgia game. I'm my wife on one side of me, my best friend Billy's on the other side, and they're screaming and hollering, and I go, "Hey, what happened?" And man, they did a D14 tail flip on a halfback, and he was a third ring and third string, and I'm like, was that good? And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, go Dogs! And I have no idea, but you asked me about stuff, and I'm like, well, let's look in the Federal Registry.
Yeah.
You have an opinion, and like right now it's so much fun. You got J.D. Vance, the couch, and then you've got the what's the other guy, Tim Walz, and the horse seaman, and it's so much fun.
It's hilarious. It's memeable. That's what it is.
This year has been the
So
best
memeable.
memes.
Dude. Between Kamala Harris bringing out Quavo and Megan Thee Stallion to Donald Trump, his ear, to J.D. Vance sitting on the couch with his legs spread, the camera angle, see, we're sitting like this, I have it up a little bit, the camera angle, I should have been there. They need to hire me as the cameraman. They need to fix the angle of which it was just, and then like cross your legs or, sit up in the power stance. It was odd.
Hey, we go get my phone. Let me check, see what that was.
Yeah.
Just in case.
But it was hilarious.
I have to check my phone real quick.
No, you're good.
Might be the boss. Thank you, brother. Appreciate
But yeah, it's hilarious the amount of memes that have come out already this year. I'm excited for it. Me personally,
That's my election season, man. That's why I said it's like when people get into politics, my nickname, for God's sakes, is Rob the Prez Milhous.
Yeah.
And it's because I've been literally infatuated with being president of the United States since I was in 7th grade, and then that was where I found out my grandfather's first cousin was president of the United States. It was Richard Milhous Nixon. So,
really?
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, so you didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't. That's dope.
So yeah, it's fun too because that's the other reason. So we've actually been here in Augusta, Georgia twice as a family in the Milhous dynasty, and the second time we actually got brought back was my grandfather in the golf club doing real estate. Two of his buddies, Mr. Blanchard and Mr. Calhoun. Well, there you go. There's Blanchard and Calhoun. And so back before that, my dad's grandfather was in the first graduating class, or first or second year of the original Medical College of Georgia.
Wow.
So I actually, down here, if you ever want to take a tour, I actually have all this medical stuff, his apothecary stuff. It's really cool. But all this to say, so I love politics, and it's been an addiction ever since I found out in 7th grade. I actually saw George H.W. Bush give a speech at the Fallen Officers Memorial.
I've been trying to do his accents. It's very hard to do, man. Him and Bill Clinton, they have the most, like, him, and then Donald Trump, it's all the hand motion, so it's like,
well, we're the very best.
We're the very best. We're the best.
Gillis, I think Shane Gillis does the best. And then you have Obama, and you do all that. What we're trying to do here, and so that's fun. So I went to go see George H.W. Bush after seeing him all on, back in the day, Saturday Night Live and all that in the era.
Back when it was good, man.
And I saw him giving this speech, and I was like, oh, dear God. So as soon as I got back, Mom picks me up in the airport. She's like, you got to take me straight here to Dad's office. And she's like, okay. So she had to bring me here so I could run down there in his office. I'm like, Dad, I figured out what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be president of the United States. And he's like, oh, Jesus, sit down, boy. We got to have a talk. And that's where I learned about Richard Nixon being a whatever, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I don't know how that works, but it's the South, he's a cousin, right? So, it's politics are real fun though. But luckily, I actually have a big forgiving and understanding realm of that. And this is hemping ain't easy. That's our
Hemping ain't easy, folks.
Hemping ain't easy. And politics
you need to
suck
trademark
too,
that, brother.
Well, I think I might have actually found that somewhere else. So that's
Someone already did it. It's easy to. I mean, hemping ain't easy. I'm sure it is, but if
they're good people, whoever they are, 'cause they know this is the hardest. Jesus, this is.
Yeah, I can tell. The layers of it seems crazy. The problem with me with how legalized it is so whenever you're looking at it, right? Like a state like Seattle, Portland, right? I think they legalize everything. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
The reason I agree with that side is because would you rather it being sold on the streets and being laced and having, because you can read the different type of loopholes of people who had laced with fentanyl, this and this and that. Wouldn't it be easier and wouldn't it cut deaths out a lot if we were able to process it in a manufacturing facility where it's more safe and it's better, better when it comes to the grade of marijuana they're getting? Wouldn't that be safer for the people who are out there buying it?
So we've had a several years start on this here with the hemp industry here in the state of Georgia. This actually saved my behind several years ago. They were looking for a poster child of somebody to, bend over and stick it to, and with the Department of Revenue. And at the time, and kind of add on to what you say, so it looked like there was other people that was trying to come up with a standard for the testing, and you have your columns of all the things that are in the analysis. They're called your analytes is what you look at, and that's how much CBD, THC, we talked about all the molecules, right? And, of course, we're looking to see where that ratio of the Delta-9 falls. But it goes further. Some of them I'll get in for, a set of pre-rolls. It'll be about as thick as, you're purchasing a house. And it's because they take it in, looking for pesticides. They're looking for metals, stuff like that. And then fentanyl, right? And then it was great because at that time when they were starting to develop the standard for that, don't know who it was, but... Good Lord, they were smart enough to say, hey, we should test this for nicotine. And it was brilliant. Thank God. Oh man, you thank God it came back later. So the Department the Department of Revenue came after me for manufacturing and distribution of tobacco products.
Wow.
And I was looking at the level of maybe the Philip Morris, oh gosh, my wife was just crying. She's like, telling her identical twin sister that she's like, or I think it was her sister, she was saying that he won't even tell me what the fines are. So I didn't even want to talk about it, but we actually had to have a coming to moment Jesus here, coming to Jesus moment. I did that early. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Oh man, I told you I'm the dumbest, smartest person you'll ever meet. But so they had come in. They were getting me for manufacturing, in which I wasn't manufacturing. I got smart. I found out liability falls on the manufacturer up to a certain extent, and then I wanted to be on the retail, so can't do both. Jim Beam cannot own the bar.
Yeah.
And so we structured everything like that. And so the Department of Revenue came in on tobacco products. And what is this about? And luckily we were able to sit down at the long table and have it out. And it was because my argument was I already had these tested. We had CBD 100%, 0% THC, 100% CBD only, and just in the oil, it's diluted in. And it's coming out of Colorado. It was a great product under American Indican, which was one of our companies we work with. And there's no nicotine in it. So I had to ask them, why are you trying to charge me with manufacturing and distribution of tobacco products? Well, first of all, we ruled out I didn't manufacture. It came from Colorado. So the distribution part's still there. And the problem was there's no nicotine in this product. Thank God that it was on the testing that shows 0% THC. Well, this was right at the change we had just started into. It was not their fault. It was literally the January, February after the election, the Biden-Harris administration. And somewhere it had changed that the cartridges with nothing in it, and I don't remember, again, the name of the law, just can't remember right now, just too much to think about. The cartridge itself is regulated as a tobacco product.
Okay.
Even though we can show labs. Yeah, just, you've seen a cart?
Yeah.
You screw on top of it.
Take it off, yeah.
Right, okay. So that cartridge itself is federally listed with the ATF.
As a tobacco
As
product.
a tobacco product, no matter if there is not a drop of nicotine in it. In our case, it was 100% for the first time ever. We're going, look, it's 100% cannabis.
Yeah.
Why? And so we sat down. It was great. I ended up having to pay $730. And so we settled it on out for a little bit of back taxes. And I'm one of the, besides alcohol, I'm definitely the most anti-tobacco product on the face, most anti-tobacco person on the face of the planet some days. And I now have a license, don't we, Chris? We have a license to sell cigarettes just because we want to sell Delta 8, CBD, all those in a vape cartridge. And it's consistent with the law here in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
We have to pay a special sales and use tax. People wonder why they just can't get in this industry, and because
there's a lot of freaking hoops to jump through.
Oh God, that's why I said it's a labor of love. You do not get in this because you want to make money.
Yeah.
You do it because you want to sell weed and weed accessories. I mean, that's literally what it boils down to, and that you want to have fun with it.
So speaking of that, could this be also labeled because it's in this type of bottle? As an
Graduates.
alcohol beverage, manufactured beverage?
I think around February, March, somewhere in there, I was. I don't want to say confronted because it's non-confrontational.
Black
it was
suits.
just yeah. Right. Oh God, you've come to visit me here before. Ugh. There's no ethanol.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know that it's the only government agency in the federal government that I know of that has 4 letters. It's not the ATF. The reason why I know this, I've been in trouble for 2 of the 4 letters, and I don't drink and I don't smoke. So alcohol and tobacco are out. The third one being firearms, and then the 4th one is explosives. So it's fun. I've had fun with those before. But anyway, the ATF can't do anything because there's no ethanol, which would constitute alcohol.
Yeah.
So
but this isn't labeled as an alcoholic, because it's in this bottle.
Right. So it doesn't fall in that same. If we were to put it in a mason jar, they can get us for moonshine.
Interesting.
It's
crazy to have that law for tobacco.
Right, and that was,
they don't have it
they
for
regulated the batteries. Then the batteries fell out from regulation, and it just became the cartridge, unless it's attached to a battery physically, permanently, or whatever. But this does not fall in there, and I had to pass word through, just hey man, let them know. I'm not getting in the middle of this, but tell them to kick rocks. That's there's no ethanol.
And so everybody wondering calories per serving, this one only has 15 opposed to your beer drinkers. I think it's, 90 plus, 80 plus?
Something like that. Even, that's it sure as hell beats drinking O'Doul's.
Yeah. And you got 0 grams of fat in here, 0 grams of trans fat and saturated fat, no cholesterol, no sodium. It does have no dietary fiber, just total sugar is about 4 grams. That only makes up, 7% of the total with the carbohydrates, which is another 2%.
Really important because the doctor side in me with the chiro side, diabetes. Luckily, this is better than getting the edibles, which is a ton of sugar, a ton of fat,
I can imagine, yeah.
So this is just very low key, and so everybody that looks at it, that obviously that knows their status with diabetes, they look at it and they're like, oh, I can juggle this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then all my protein guys out there like to work out. Unfortunately, it does have 0 grams of protein.
So speaking of working out, so now we're in this new world of water soluble.
Yeah.
My wife's one of those, oh man, I love it. She's going to kill me for saying this, but she hears it in the office all the time. I'm married to a 44-year-old smoking hot gym MILF. I love it. I love it. God, I love her in those pants. But so, even at 44 and I'm 47, I go to the gym with her at 4 o'clock in the morning, and, it's great whenever we get back in our routine. But at 47, shit hurts.
Yeah. Does this help with that?
Yes. So what I do is I'll take a shot of the 10 milligram, and I've been taking it. I got one of these big giant water jugs. I'm one of those guys that hydrates in between. And so you just take that one shot of 10 milligrams and put it in a big giant water jug. And so you're not getting hit with all the high where you go lay down and take a nap. You're just offsetting, I guess, some of that lactic acid burn, some of the pain. Which, going 47, you're going to hurt, even in your 20s, you get sore. You know what I mean?
I try not to. Going to the gym at 4 a.m., man, and trying to get into that routine is rough.
It is.
Even as a 23-year-old male, it's rough.
Listening to Joe Rogan, he was right. And I see why my wife has done it for so long and has had success with it, is because you actually get in that frame of mind, and it's a different mindset.
Oh, absolutely.
I know the first 2 weeks you're struggling with that loss of sleep, and you're delirious. But then next thing you know, you're a couple months into it, and you can't live without it.
Yeah, and then everybody looking into ingredients, I just checked it, only 10 total ingredients in this bottle currently. Right. So if you don't like all the added, stuff and whatnot.
Will you grab us tequila?
If you don't like all the stuff with it that has all the extra stuff that, whether it's preservatives or just added stuff for color, and you're not into that, this only has 10 total, I believe. Yeah, 10 total ingredients in this entire bottle,
which
really
is
impressive.
Awesome. Yeah. And Christopher is actually my assistant over here. He's actually going and grab us a bottle of Moon. It's spelled.
Is that like a seltzer?
No, it's actually even better. One of my other favorites besides these, a 100% black-owned business from the state of California. Got the best reps in the business. We get to launch things from nowadays before anybody in the country, which is a phenomenal thing to have, being there with them. And then we have this new group that I am just absolutely just crazy about. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. So this is, it's spelled MXXN.
And how do you pronounce it?
Moon.
Moon.
So remember the days of Prohibition when they X'd out the O's?
Yeah.
So it's Moon. You pronounce it Moon, and it's MXXN. So this one in particular is a really interesting. So these guys were going at a different angle. Nowadays, we've got this on speed. We literally spit this out all the time when people ask us about the flavor profile. So nowadays is if Smarties and Sweet Tarts had a baby, it grew up to be a weed drink.
And this is it?
Nope, that's nowadays.
Nowadays, okay.
So Smarties and Sweet Tarts, maybe a little citrus flavor on the nowadays.
Okay.
So now here's Moon. So this one is a Jalisco agave. So you ever notice, people, and this is what's so impressive with this brand is, oh my God, I'm so ecstatic about them right now. So you know how people drink tequila, they get in fights.
Yes.
So the agave,
I can account to that. I'm not a tequila drinker.
Well, they're mean as shit, right?
Youngbloods cannot do tequila.
Yeah.
We can't.
I don't want to be a Youngbloods. tequila. It's tequila. I've been there sober.
Now my mom, the Johnson side, she can put down some. What she have? She had the. It's in a white bottle. It's hefty. I can't remember the name, but she loves that, and she'll get it down and just dance her night away. But Youngbloods, on the Youngblood side,
Got to stay away from that tequila.
stay away from tequila. I'm a beer drinker or
So this one's actually so we got a bourbon.
Yeah.
This is a tequila. We have a gin, and I'm waiting on my rep Uriah from Moon to let me know that we're supposed to have a white rum as well. So here's what these do. These are different. So the nowadays is flavorful. You just take it as a shot. I actually like it out of the refrigerator better, and I like it on the counter. It's good either way.
okay.
But I'm using an analogy here on this one. So if you take a shot of these are more meant to be mixed, and that's why we have Michelle Rudder at Sugar and Spice actually makes a couple of flavors just exclusively for the hemp company for me and Dana's anniversary this year actually, and we sell a lot of them, and it's really to go along with this because this is kind of like O'Doul's with beer, but with tequila, and instead of ethanol, you get 6 milligrams of THC per 1.5 ounce shot. So if you were to take this as a naked shot, you take that shot, it's got that, oh my God, I just did tequila for a split second. So I'm going to do this, hold on a second. You know how when you take a Coca-Cola, and I don't know, my kids have done this, I don't know why, but they'll shake it up, and they'll still drink it, and it's flat. But it still tastes like Coke formula, right? So when you take a shot of this, it's that tequila, but then there's no burn.
Okay.
It's
like whenever you take your first sip of Coke, it's like
that real hard burn, but there's zero burn. There's no burn to it, right?
Just got a little kick with it.
Right. And then this is crazy. Folks I know that do tequila, that they get that amped up. So they did this with terpenes to make this sativa. Stand up with sativa, indica couch with indica, right? So this is the closest thing to the agave plant, which is pretty much a sativa, right? So when a lot of people take these as shots or they put them in the drink, they go, Dr. Milhous, are you sure this is not real tequila? I feel that fight or flight coming on. And so it's really interesting. Even this is meant for a drink mixer. If you want to do a suicide, remember how you mix all the flavors?
Absolutely.
Still waiting for somebody to want to do that challenge. We'll mix them a shot of this nowadays, and the bourbon and the gin. Look here, go to town. And so, with that being said, you take this, you put your shots in your margarita mix, and it still has that same flavor and effect that you're drinking tequila in that margarita.
Could we grab the bourbon? Do we have any?
Do we have any bourbon over there? So the bourbon. When you do it by itself, similar. It doesn't have that burn, but it's got a lot of that flavor.
And that's Moon. What are these retailing for currently?
So these right now, I think we actually have them on the website for, don't quote me, it might be $69.99. They're regular like $79.99.
Okay.
The 10 milligrams of nowadays, we actually have all the way up to 25 milligrams right now. We're really pushing it up.
That's a big bottle.
Well, it's coming.
Appreciate you, Chris.
So back to this one. So this one right here is
Kentucky Oak. I bet that's absolutely amazing.
And so what you do with this, you go do the old Crown and Coke, Jack and Coke.
And it tastes good with this?
It's great. You get a lot of that. It's got a lot of vanilla on the back side.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like having.
And this is about the same price?
Yeah. That was $79.99, $78.99. And is that the gin? Yeah. So
these are Moons. The black bottles are all Moons. And then the white bottle will be the nowadays. This is another Moon. This is the London Dry. This is gin.
Gin. And so I hate to say this, I honestly don't think that I've ever had a use for gin in my life.
Me
so
neither.
I have yet to even open
Only
one of
Snoop
these.
Dogg, right? Gin and
Gin and juice, right? So we were talking about this. Actually, it says on our website the only thing missing is the juice.
Yeah.
So gin and juice, right? So hey, yeah, let's look at this. This is even more so. We're super proud of this. We're super proud of this. It's a husband and wife team here in Augusta, Georgia, and the wife is
Sugar and Spice.
She's the boss. The husband, Chris, is just like my wife, world's best support, and so she makes these here in Augusta, Georgia, and my wife had found them a little over a year or so ago, and through channels. It's Augusta, largest, smallest town on the map. Yeah, you can open it. Go ahead. You can actually have that one. Take it with
I can
you.
have it?
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, that way you can smell it and taste it. And
I want it to pop on me.
there you go. Take a sip of that. Take a sip of it. It's like drinking.
Ooh.
It's actual all fresh fruit.
It's like that pineapple, that stuff my mom always makes for the parties.
Yes.
Just like that.
So that right there is, she makes that one exclusively for us. Me and my wife love anything strawberry, pineapple, right? And so she actually let us design one for our anniversary this year. And so we've been selling that. They're like $12, $13 a jar. We sell them online. We have them on the website now.
Yeah. And this is just a mixer for everybody.
Yeah, and you can mix the nowadays with it. You can mix the margarita up with the Jalisco agave tequila flavored from Moon, or you, like I said again, put the nowadays in it. Or you can just still do the old fashioned. My wife last night was like, no weed for me.
Yeah.
She went for the actual good stuff, the coconut rum.
Now let me ask you this: are we able to taste any of these or no?
I don't have any of those open.
If you have one open, I don't want to open either ones you have, just so, because I know people want, well, how's the taste? How's it taste? I'm like, well.
I tell you what, so I will find, hey, you know what we need to do? We need to get him a little shot bottle to take with him. And yes, let's go give him one of the little shot bottles of both the Moon and the Nowadays so he can take that with him. Because we have those. He can have,
perfect.
Get him one of each of those.
Perfect.
And let's let him FAFO. Go ahead and give him a 25 milligram for that Nowadays. And
one thing I do want to mention, obviously you're trying to get this up and running. I would love to do a partnership with you if you're interested.
Sure.
I don't know. Obviously, I'm in Athens. I have a good amount of pool out there. If you wanted to get merchandise out, or obviously, I don't know if just to get the brand out. If you want to do, we can talk about it a little bit more after
right
the
now,
podcast.
we're working on trying to get the website up and going. There you go.
sir.
These little mini bottles are good for
Absolutely.
Georgia games. They go through metal detectors. I can say that. Not from experience. I do not condone anything, but that is the Jalisco agave, and then that is a 25 milligram. That's the actual size of the 25 milligram bottle. It's not in this one yet, but that was a solid 25 milligrams, and I'll tell you, it hits like a truck. Don't. You can. I did it. I had to do it to see what it felt like. And thank God I was off for a couple of days.
A couple of days, yeah.
It stays around for
So a lot of
bit.
people, I've mentioned
25 milligrams is a lot.
I've had conversations with people, and they're asking, is there a hangover afterward, like the day after?
No, that's great. So now, okay, yes and no. So if you do it in a large shot like that, that's 25 milligrams. So, okay.
And then the regular shot is what?
10.
10. Okay.
Yeah. And these are right at 6. I think they're 6.43 maybe per shot. So let's say almost 7. You do a couple of those, you're good to go. But now you get into you tie one on, and they say sunrise and the bottle's empty. I'm not going to say you're not going to feel a little something the next day, but it's not exactly like a hangover.
How would you describe it? It's not. Is it not the headache? Is it what is it?
Yeah, none of that headache stuff. It's just you just feel a little lethargic.
Tired.
Yeah, you just. You know what? I just don't feel like getting up and cutting the grass right now. But now that's what Red Bull and coffee's for. Sometimes. But that does help.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's one of those things that in moderation, as long as you don't overdo it and take too much, you'll be good to go.
Oh, perfect. I may have to buy this Kentucky bottle from you.
No, I wish I had some samples of that one. I'm
going to have to. I'm probably going to have to take one of these home with me because I
give me an
love.
employee discount.
There you
How
go.
about that? See, really got you.
There we go. No, like I said, I would love to do a partnership. We can talk a little bit more after the podcast, with everything and.
Find a way to drive web traffic or something.
Yeah.
And, you know how those, like Amazon does it.
Because you know more a little bit about the legal side of it, so whatever we can talk about that after. But
Sure thing.
yeah, for sure, man. Let me ask you this: have you looked into anything besides cannabis, like mushrooms or peyote, or have you touched on that, or is this just a little bit already? You already got too much on your plate.
So no, believe it or not, I get bored. That world's best superpower ADHD is it's great. So I started researching shrooms. See a very big need for that. I have not. Now I've ventured off the reservation. I actually did give in and try it multiple times under controlled conditions, and I will say, so far, my preference, I prefer the cannabis side. I'm not saying it's bad or it was uncomfortable. Like if I'm going,
It's just a preference.
and then I have access to this legally right now. So that's another thing. Like it's too many teeth to pull to get access to good shrooms. Which
Understood.
They're there. If you look hard enough.
Is that a Schedule 1 drug?
Yeah, it's Schedule 1.
It's high up there.
And then also, I've looked into and tried MDMA. Molly is is antidepressant
Absolutely,
stuff.
yeah.
So I looked into the myriad of those, and then I have not tried, but I don't know if I want to try. But I follow Joe Rogan and a lot of them. There's two types of DMT. There's DMT, and then there's 5-MeO DMT. And I've been looking into those, and I've actually had chiropractic patients that have gone to those places.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, where they do the tea in one, the ayahuasca, and then there's the other one with the toad. And so, I've followed up with a few of them. They saw angels, they saw space, and they came back undepressed. Didn't care if they were fat, skinny, didn't matter if they were, did not care, and had a different perspective and outlook on life, solid. So
just like you, I obviously watched Joe Rogan podcast. He has a lot of good thoughts. That's not with the normal value.
I didn't know Joe Rogan with the podcast guy was the guy I used to love on the it's so funny. Like you get busy, you get doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I had no idea that Joe Rogan's podcast was the same guy that I knew from the announcer in the UFC.
And what's that TV show?
So that was what was even more disturbing. I was like, why didn't I know about that? Oh, that's Joe Rogan. And I used to love Fear Factor.
Fear Factor.
Oh, my God.
I was like, what?
I was a Joe Rogan fan just because the way he handled people getting out of line on that show. You could tell.
You ever seen him fight?
Man, bruh.
He could kick a head off a moose.
I love the one thing where he was, matter of fact, me and my boy Chris over here were talking about how he hit a dude and he never got up off the mat one time, and he went to the sensei and he's like, yeah, sometimes they
don't get up, sometimes they die. He was talking. He said that's what kind of put him off from fighting. He's like, the guy didn't get up, and he's like, I felt bad about it. Then he went and go talk to his trainer sensei. I think he's more in Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. And he was talking to him. He was like, hey, I feel really bad. Like he didn't get up. He's like, yep. Sometimes they don't get up.
Yeah.
And the guy was just like straight and narrow about
Right.
it. That's what Joe Rogan was like. He's still trained, but he was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
I still wouldn't mess with him.
No.
And I think I can scrap, but no, I don't think so. I think he would make mush out of it.
He's probably about my height, maybe a little higher, 5'8", but he has a kick on him that could probably take a head off a moose.
I've seen him. I've watched him do those roundhouses and kicks and stuff, and hell of a kickboxer.
Yeah.
But you're right. I started listening to him, and we've really I've taken a lot of notes from him. There is Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
Mm-hmm.
I really fell in love with that series. It's a guy that's what he does at a college, is researches stuff like that.
Was he on the Joe Rogan podcast? This African American dude with dreads?
No.
Was that him? Because there's another guy, I don't remember his name, who was doing kind of the same stuff.
I don't know if he was on there, but I found him through friends of mine that just recommended him. Mm-hmm. He actually was on Vice TV.
Okay.
Or maybe like Netflix or one of the pay-per whatevers. So I found him, and now I think the safest place to say is that Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, Pharmacopoeia. It was some stuff I found on YouTube.
Yeah.
Everything's on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Now, right?
You can learn how to build a car on YouTube.
Fix your car sometimes, right? And so I started looking into that, and I will say though, out of all the three that I did mention, that I would probably say that MDMA really needs a lot more. I would put it up there in that favorite along with cannabis. It definitely needs to be addressed. There's something to it there, I'll tell you that.
I've heard a lot of studies, especially with mushrooms. It helps with not only schizophrenic patients, but people with ADHD, people with Alzheimer's. The list goes on. And my question, I don't understand why there's not, or maybe there is, but as far as my knowledge goes, there's not a lot of research being done on them, and not a lot of positivity. Whenever you get into this field, so whenever you're talking about pharmaceuticals, for instance, right? Yeah. Big pharma and stuff like that, they can push whatever they want as long as it's FDA approved. And but as soon as you get into something like mushrooms or cannabis, which is natural and not synthesized or anything like that, it's like they don't like
that
it.
a little bit here. So we're actually seeing a little bit something different here. I see on my end that maybe the rest doesn't see. Yeah, the FDA right now, there are a lot of people that want it pushed through where you can market it for sleep, pain, and stuff like that. Well, you can't. You just can't. It's locked up with the FDA, and rightfully so, because of snake oils, right? And, people making outright claims or whatever. So I will say this. There is something different here. Post December 20th, 2018, after the Senate Farm Bill was signed, the gloves are off. And now we have every single agricultural aggregate school for sure in the state. I even recently, Payne College is trying to put together, which, I've even reached out. If they need any assistance with that, I would love to they're HBCU, and I would love to, help them for sure. Augusta State, I'm an alumni of Augusta College, Augusta State University, and but the bottom line is, since that, we have so many things that we can study that are being studied that are now because the gloves are off, and we can research it because it's not federally illegal for hemp to be studied on campus at colleges, and it doesn't mess up grants and things like that. And so it's great. Now, until the day occurs where we can have mushroom legality. Now, Colorado is a state. Several states have legalized mushrooms. I think Louisiana.
And what's that? The chemical in this? Oh
God, psilocybin.
Yeah.
It starts with a P. I can't remember right now.
Psilocybin.
Thank you.
Yeah, psilocybin.
We'll edit that out later. Psilocybin.
Psilocybin. There's tons of documents on that where people have done it privately. And, did different, not training, what's it called?
Look up Mike Tyson and the Toad.
Mike Tyson's a big fan of mushrooms.
No, look up Mike Tyson and the Toad.
The Toad?
There's a awesome interview of Mike Tyson post-ayahuasca and post-DMT. And he said it killed his ego.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest ego there is.
And if you ever watch Mike Tyson, whether it be in his prime or even when leading up out of prison.
BMF, dog.
Yes. I wouldn't take a punch from him right now, let alone 20 years ago.
I can't wait for that fight. I'm hoping, God, the Paul Boy and Tyson get a I'm a fan of both.
My opinion on that, man, is I'm
going Tyson.
I think Jake Paul's a really good fighter. I really do. I think he's above average when it comes to everyone. He's above average. Do I think that he's a businessman. He's a great businessman. Absolutely. Amazing businessman.
Him and Logan.
Great businessman.
I only know about him because of my kid and YouTube.
Yeah. No, great businessman. Yeah. Do I think they're upper echelon when it comes to boxing? Absolutely not. You've seen Logan Paul fight. I mean, that's atrocious. But they pick their fights very well, right. And it's very smart.
I just don't see Tyson. Tyson's OG when it comes to they did not have a Logan Paul knockout. They had Mike Tyson's knockout for Nintendo.
Absolutely, for sure. He had a whole game. And did you watch that Roy Jones fight with Mike Tyson?
Ooh, I don't remember, but I have watched a few over the years. I can't ever remember. It's in one year out the other. It was
recently, a couple years back, and Mike Tyson still looked good.
Down.
Roy Jones still looked good too.
I watched his training videos.
Mike Tyson.
I've watched his training videos just recently. I was watching him training, and I was just like, I don't know that smoke, right?
None.
He's like one of them old school dudes, And
a lot of people still argue me. I still think he's the greatest fighter of all time, in my opinion. People say Ali.
Muhammad Ali, yeah.
Ali, but it was different.
Ali is the baddest.
The baddest?
I like that.
You ever see Mike Tyson come with a left hook or uppercut?
No. What I'm saying, the thing about him was again, I'm out of my lane here. I shouldn't be commenting, but
no, please
Muhammad Ali
should
be the baddest. He's the baddest MFer of all time because float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And in his mouth, he talked shit the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you get into Tyson, and Tyson's, a three-hit guy. I mean, how many times have you seen him just lay a guy on the map? The bell just rang.
Yeah.
So for what was that guy, Don? Who was it? Was it the guy that Don King or whatever years ago? I'm sure they made a few quick $1 million.
Oh, for sure.
First 3 minutes,
sure.
And he's knocking guys out.
I remember. So I don't remember, but I remember going through just watching fights, because sometimes at night, you're not sleeping. You're like, okay, you're going through this loophole. I was watching Mike Tyson when he got out of prison. He fought. What's his name? That white dude. He's from.
I remember that. I did see some of that. I cannot think of that.
Cannot think of his name.
And I usually see that stuff because, again, listen to some Joe Rogan stuff over the while.
His thing was from something Mass. I'm here to whoop Mike Tyson's ass. He was straight. This is Mike Tyson's first fight out of prison, and so you get out there. Mike Tyson is ice. He's looking at dudes hopping around.
Solid killer.
He has that killer instinct. You can see it in his eyes. He's about to tear this dude up. Peter McNeely.
Okay.
Peter McNeely. He come out, and you can just see it in Mike Tyson's eyes. He's about to kill this dude. Within the first 2 seconds, the guy was stubborn. Hit him with a right hook. He threw a jab. He countered it, came with a right hook, and just put him on his knee. People say, "Oh, he slipped." No, that wouldn't have slipped. My boy saw the Looney Tunes whenever he got hit.
He slipped off tonight.
Yes, and I don't think it went past the first round. But that's the reason I think just his ferocity, bro. And you got to grow up during that time, so you got to see all that.
Tyson punch out of the air. That was man. He was the bomb, and
all that testosterone. It just looked like he was walking testosterone.
Just his workout program, his regimen.
Insane.
Hey, something that's great. You were talking about research and something. I'm glad this is kind of like a public service. Let's do a PSA right now.
Okay, PSA.
I get confronted with a thing that people reach out a lot of times. Just be somebody that they'll reach out, whatever the case may be. And I'm noticing this. So that we're researching things. We're talking about being able to research cannabis. I will say there has been one downfall. Let's talk about the bad. There are some cons to certain things.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm seeing is to kind of just set us a point here. When we talk about people that for instance, we're at Woodstock, and you hear, man, we had the best weed there, man. They had the best weed. So I was reading this interesting study that they were able to for whatever that they were able to determine that the percentage of that cannabis, which was the best in the world, right? The best it was at Woodstock, was allegedly between 5 to 7% THC.
Wow.
And so here we are. Then we're going to talk about the next level here, where we're at today. I'm seeing 37-40% plants on the marijuana side. Think about that, right? So here we are. We have folks who go into this. Let's say grandma, grandpa. And we literally just had this. We just had this discussion. We had somebody that I got some stuff from a dispensary, and I gave it to somebody to try. And they were used to smoking stuff. I guess you'd consider mids or low end, whatever.
That's the name on the street. Yeah, you smoking mid, brother.
You smoking mid. One of my favorite memes was some guy holding up a sign at a protest that said Trump smokes mids, and I was like, that's good. That's a good meme. That's a great meme. That's a great meme, right? But it's just, that just shows up. Got a good sense of humor about it. But anyway, so. Now, let's fast forward. Let's say, so we got 17-year-old kids. Let's talk about my nephews, nieces, and my kids, right? They go in and they get a hold of some weed, and it comes from a dispensary, and holy shit, it's not 5%. Something that just kept you stoned, eat up the whole house. You smoke something at 37%, and then now this good friend of mine, Alex Hand, always says, I'm going to jump. You get too high, right? And, Cat Williams delivered on that. It was so good in a few comic sketches. We got all these concentrates, and a lot of these concentrates, one of them is THCA, what we're currently selling. And it's a concentrate, so it's a purified form, and it's, man, it's just really potent. So with that being said, one of the things I'm noticing as a clinician, and I've talked to medical friends, and it's great, I have these at my disposal, we are seeing a massive influx of emergency room visits. Obviously, people think they're about to die.
Yeah,
but did you
they
die?
can't control it. Yeah.
Right. So the worst part about it is they keep going back and self-medicating for anxiety. So here's what happens when you take something like, for instance, like THCA, okay, and it's a concentrate. you get some kind of level of just dumb, stone, stupid,
Almost
super
paranoia.
stupid high, right? Oh, even worse. I mean, you're on top of that and you're high, right? So the initial stage after you start consuming, your blood pressure drops. Just your blood pressure drops. Okay, that's another thing. So your blood pressure drops, and then all of a sudden your heart rate speeds up. So that mimics an anxiety attack.
Okay.
So we're starting to see people that are going back, and they'll go back and they'll keep revisiting. When I say they go back, like, well, you know what? It helps. It helps my anxiety. But then they're not realizing, like, the hour, 2-3 hours, or a day later, their heart rate's speeding up in response to their blood pressure dropping,
low,
right? Yeah. And so we're seeing this massive, humongous influx of people on anxiety meds and or just having dissociative fugues. They're losing their minds to a point where literally schizophrenia and type stuff like that, because it gets in your head.
Absolutely.
And so I do warn about that. When in this market, unfortunately, we don't have access to it, and it's one of my arguments. I think we should go ahead and legalize marijuana flower, just release it to the public, and just let us do what we're doing here on this side. And let marijuana people have the flower side. Great, no problem. We'll make our edibles under hemp. But that way you could actually get some 5 to 7%. That way you can get some meds.
Absolutely.
You don't just get on a Harley Davidson
And drive.
Coming off of a mountain bike or training wheels, right?
Yeah.
So it is really scary, and I worry about this because kids today, listen to me. I sound like my damn dad.
You are, Dad.
True dad, right? So it worries me because they aren't really getting the experience I would want to have if I had to go back and try all over again. Even when I started in this, I actually saved some samples of some of the original first weed I ever got a hold to. That was for sure was marijuana. And one day I'm gonna run it through a tester. I'm gonna just go see what is that THC level, and then fast forward to some of that stuff I've had that looks like I'm talking about my friend Alex Hand. We talk about Skeet's French fries. His old friend of ours, Skeet, dealership. Every time he had French fries, he would cover the top of them where it looked like a layer of salt.
Yeah.
And Skeet loves salt. He loves French fries. And so we look at some of these plants and we look at these nuggets and we're like, oh dear God, man, this looks like Skeet's French fries that day at Crystals, and they're just covered in crystals. So more crystals, higher THC. I can understand why we're starting to see depression, mania, starting to see some things pop back up on the radar in a different route. Well, because we have access to too potent of cannabis. I think we need to have access to flower so we can tone it down a little bit.
For sure. And do you think like education will help as well? Because there's a lot of negative connotations that come with hemp and all this other stuff. Do you think?
Look at how far we've come.
Yeah.
From like people busting. And when I say busting me, like busting my balls, kicking me in the ass. Oh man, why did you turn into a drug dealer? You dope dealer, all that. So all of a sudden, like, man, let me tell you, that CBD oil helped my low back.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, the medicinal positive that comes with these plants.
Love it. It works in concert, and I don't want to ever denigrate or do away with any of the stuff. I do not recommend in no way, shape, form, or fashion do we ever come up with a substitute for big pharma, because we do need that to some, from the clinician side of it.
Absolutely.
But what I have found is that people taking multiple blood pressure medicines all of a sudden go and take a sample of CBD oil or it's marijuana. Remember I told you it makes your blood pressure drop.
Yeah.
So now it makes all those damn blood pressure meds work. Holy shit! Now you got a 70/40 blood pressure, and you're moving like a snail.
Yeah.
So it has its applications where we still need both, and even with chiropractic stuff, we try to marry it all together. So which is great. We have that now where we have medical doctors referring to us here at the clinic.
Yeah.
So it's catching up, but that public service announcement, I'd really like to get that out there, is because I do get a lot of parents that call out of concern. Junior or, my little girl moved to, and then, California, Colorado would start here, and
any college campus, right?
Yeah, or college, right?
Any
Georgia
college
Southern,
campus,
University of Georgia, LSU, But one thing too, I do like the fact that you mentioned this. You asked, wouldn't I rather see something where we can have it available? And like we talked about mushrooms, MDMA, whatever that case may be, because we have proper testing.
Absolutely.
I'm not worried about my
sure.
kids, my nieces, my nephews trying something and, oh shit, it was laced.
Yeah,
That's why it's so good.
And it can even
kills
come
you.
from you, and you know it's safe, and you
Right.
feel comfortable. Hey, if
Packaged with QR codes.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's good stuff there.
So
for
what do
sure.
you think? So you think dispensaries having more of the 5 to 10 milligram will help out a lot, especially with the flower that you were talking about?
Yeah, even on these 10 milligrams, the 25 milligram bottle, I tell people, sip it.
Look at Chris. He's over there like, yeah, sip it.
Sip it. Do not take the whole bottle. Yeah, you will see, like as Cat Williams said, some guy went to a dispensary one time, and he said that this guy came out and put this little thing that looked like a booger on a napkin, and he says he hit it. He goes, "Have you ever been high and then got high?"
He's also,
He said, "I got so high, I seen where the Illuminati lives."
yeah, he
And-
said he was passing one around. He's like, what's this called? He said, it's called death. He said, why do you call it death? Death? I'm a die? I'm a die? What you talking about? I'm dying. He's like, no, when you hit this, you can't hear a damn thing.
Deaf. DEAF.
Death. What you talking about? I'm a die?
Yeah, it's good stuff though. But
Absolutely.
that is something, just like say, with everything good, there does come some bad stuff. And
Absolutely.
I do monitor it all. It is a labor of love. I know we keep talking about that, but the Georgia Cannabis Project, it's really and truly it's been fun. And one thing we haven't talked about here, originally the original logo, I was trying to come up with something that was going to be an identification. It was for like the purposes of having a badge, because I was going to go in and out. I've got vetted by a lot of the lettered agencies and stuff to be able to do this. And then it was supposed to be a badge. And when I say it's supposed to be a badge, it was supposed to be in case, I'm moving stuff across state lines, was trying to get it wherever it needed to go, university or now my business and stuff. Originally, it was just it's the leaf over Georgia.
Just like on the top right there.
Yeah, well, actually, it's that one right there.
Right there.
I'll hook you up with some stickers there
Yeah,
later
for sure.
on. But it's the reason why I brought that up is because that logo originally when it was drawn out, I was just the leaf over Georgia. Georgia Cannabis Project there, and it was a it's top secret. Sounds so fun. Top secret research project, and then so later, all through over a period of a couple of years, when I knew I could get started working on this, the University of Georgia, I was reaching out to contacts here in Augusta, all the way up to attorneys and everybody to get me in up there, and it got to the point where I had someone just politely, and I can't say any names here, politely tell me to GTFO, do not come back. Do not come back here talking about that they're going to allow us to grow cannabis here on our university. You know what I mean? It's you got to do that here at the University of Georgia. And I understand where they were coming from. I sounded crazy. I didn't have any backing. I didn't have any credentials or anything. But I'm trying to tell them we're going to grow weed up here, and I just want to get you guys prepared. And no, you can't talk about that, right? So fast forward. Originally, it was just an old black and white logo, and beginning on in January of 2019, let me back up here. So about 2 days after Trump signed the bill, December 20th, 2018, I wound up with correspondence between me and the Department of Agriculture at the agricultural school at UGA. Which is our aggregate for ag here in our state, and I had already all the way up to this point was like, oh, man, they think I'm crazy. Nobody's going to listen to me, and I get it. And it was great. The good thing was it was close first degree people that I could reach out to and talk to, and behind closed doors, and never rat them out and mention that, but eventually. After the feds notified the heads of all the aggregate schools, Clemson for Carolina, UGA for Georgia, those sorts of things, Tennessee for UOT, University of Tennessee for Tennessee Orange guys, all of those guys were contacted within that first 48-hour window that you now have permission to begin. And it was cool because after correspondence with the head up there at the school, I ended up getting asked to how fast can you get here kind of thing. And I started up there, sat down and gave a lecture with, can't say who was in the classroom other than me and Dana. And
were you nervous at all?
I'm glad you asked me. That's why I was painting this, because I literally, at some point, still to this day, I have to sit there and stop and think, like, okay, you know, I'm a creature of habit. I sit here and hang out with my friends, but how big really was this? How big has this turned into? It's nationwide, right? So I was sitting there with Dana, and I was waiting on the one of the gentlemen to arrive in the room, and I remember sitting there, and I was sweating so bad, I looked down, and I made a comment that my sweat rings were about to touch in the center of my chest. I was sweating like...
You started to feel like Mickey Mouse. You got a Mickey Mouse t-shirt on.
I did not know that you could actually sweat from one side and they would meet in the middle. That was the newest first thing, and it was still I'm at the University of Georgia. And I literally leaned over to Dana. I was like, is this real?
Big wigs.
And I was like, seriously, pinch me. She's like, I'm not pinching you, Dana.
Yeah.
She said, I'm not pinching you. I was like, is this real? And sure enough, you know, I give this lecture, for lack of a better term. I told him everything what's going on, where I place in here. I actually wrote a lot of the stuff, come to find out, had everything ready for UGA to get started. And the point was here, when I got finished, I found out that, hey, you know, you're the first. I was like, what's the first? It's like, well, you're the first to report after the law signed.
Wow.
And so it was a big deal because, you know, we my wife especially, is a big Georgia fan. And you know what I mean? And here it is. I had to stop and think about this, and I still struggle with this sometimes. Even though that logos remind me, I did it in red and black, right? And I was like, well, shit, I can do that because I had just become the first cannabis advisor in the history of UGA
Yeah,
to
and that's
UGA.
awesome. Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, damn, not only did I help do this under Trump, I did some other stuff, you know, wow, this is really working. I think it was Austin Rose, maybe somebody said, somebody said it, I think it was Austin Rose on his show one time when it was starting to look like Babe Ruth. You know, I'm calling right field, and it's going to right field. And I was like, well, look, there was a reason behind that. It was, I knew the direction everything was going. And so that can be another good thing to end us with here is just don't ever give up. Because there's a lot of times when, and still this day, I tell Christopher, there's days when I come in, I'm like, fuck this. I'm done. And I think maybe even twice last week, even, you know, on the same day, even, I'm like, you know what, I've had enough. And but you know, no, it can't. You got to keep going, and you have to keep that perspective.
Yeah.
And you know, like a really good friend of mine, he said, you know, hey man, this is your dream, and so weird to have that as a dream because I was the most anti-cannabis person on the face of the planet. You know, I had a gun range, and I was like, nah, man. Don't smoke that weed. That's the devil's lettuce.
Yeah,
you get your life right together, boy. You know, it's so condescending.
Yeah.
And then I love the fact that even, and I don't want to name any names other than my wife, I'm comfortable saying this, she reached out to, in particularly one of our lifelong best friends, and it meant a lot to him that she finally turned around and tried it after she found out I had gotten better post-stroke, and she's like, wait, I noticed, but you've been doing what in the backyard? And, you know, and I finally talked her into doing it, you know, and it's great because I really recommend it for couples. It's the best dadgum thing in the world for couples, especially in the bedroom. It's amazing, man. I don't bat an eye. Look, girls, do this. Listen, I'm telling you, it's amazing. And then you fall in love with your partner in a different way and in another way, and it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
But you know, she did after that, and I don't mean to put her on the spot, but it meant a lot because she was like me. You know, it was in a condescending sense. And she called and apologized to this one friend, and he told me, he says, man, that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
she could have kept just going. She called back. She says, I am so sorry for all those years of saying that and being judgmental. That was their word. She says, I was so judgmental towards you, and he knew it, and he knew it. I get it. We're in the Bible Belt, and that's one of the greatest things in the world. Why I was able to navigate a lot of this is because, you know what, I'm Christian conservative too. So I was born right here in Augusta, Georgia, home of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm still dealing with my own people here on both sides of the equation. And so, it was really neat. And that's been an experience in and of itself, has been like, hey, man, listen, that one time in high school? Yeah. And it's like, man, I'm sorry. Seriously, it's been humbling. Yeah. And we quoted it earlier. What was it? The Hangover was like, but did you die?
Did you die? Yeah.
Oh, man, the first time I ever got a hold of an edible, I literally thought I was going to go jump off of a 10-story building.
Yeah.
Just to get this monkey off my back. It was terrible. But I totally get it, and it has changed a lot of perspective for me. And oh my God, the clinical applications I've seen for folks in pain.
Yeah. For sure.
Cancer. I learned a term. We have some folks that come in, and I learned a term years and years ago as a biology major. We were talking about people with cancer, and then that the cancer starts boosting the metabolism in the patient to where they become. You've seen them. They become skin and bones.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a great literary or great term here in medical books. It's called cachexia. And it's just when that person starts wasting away because all the metabolism's going, the cancer takes it over. And so, and using layman terms here, then they also lose their appetite. So just being able to see folks get their appetite back, put on an extra 5 pounds because they've been going through chemo, and, we've got the great, amazing cancer center here in Augusta, Georgia.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we have those together where they can go, and then it helps with the nausea associated with everything. All you want to do is eat. That's great. So you're actually adding weight instead of being at an unhealthy range. And it's a blessing, I say to some folks, and it's scary because when we put this link up, we really need people to speak up to the Department of Agriculture. And I'll make sure I get that link.
Please do, yeah. Send that directly over to me.
My good friend Franklin Berry, I mentioned him a little while ago. Franklin Berry is the owner-operator of Franny's Pharmacy. It's a franchise out of North Carolina, and it just so happened I'd been to Franny's farm before I ever met Franklin, before he ever was in the town. And his company, Franny's Pharmacy, they have the link. I'll get it from, and I'll share it with you. So they're very responsive. The Department of Agriculture. People don't realize what we have here. We are agriculture. Above all else, we are the state that we won the war on cotton. We won the war on ag, and this was what this became. Was another agricultural war. And it's been fun. It's been a labor of love, and I know if you got to go, we got to wrap this up. I hate to do it, but we can do many more of these. And I say we do it right here in this waiting room because
that sounds good to me. Yeah.
Your mom knew my dad, and of course your family, knew my father. I had my diapers changed in here, and it was fun growing up because I got a lot of this information from my dad. I want to talk about Transformers and G.I. Joe, and Dad wanted to talk about weed, moonshine, and stuff. And we actually used to sit right out here in this waiting room, which is where we're at. We're in the old waiting room of my dad's clinic here, and for good reasons. Why I wanted you to do it here. It was Dad gave me a lot of the ideas, priming the pump, beginning at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
For sure.
And it carried on. I wish he was here to have seen what happened. It's great. He's probably doing cartwheels somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. But it was great. We actually came up with a lot of the ideas just sitting right here in this waiting room, including one day I thought I was going to have to turn myself in the Georgia Bureau of Investigation as the cannabis advisor for the University of Georgia. And it may possibly, whatever you want to call it, an advisory role, the Senate subcommittee, whatever, and all that. here I am. We sat right here on this floor, and this is an integral part of the Georgia Cannabis Project.
Yeah.
It's been right here in this office.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm
man,
glad to be a part of it, brother. I can say, just based on this conversation and based on, I've talked to my mom about it, but for sure, you couldn't have a better person as a face. I can tell your heart's in it. A lot of people, when they get into something, it's money, 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 or they just want to exploit something. I can tell your heart's in it just by talking to you. The fact that you went through those stressful days to
Right.
have a good day.
just to keep going 5 years or better, and wound up on EBT. You know, it's embarrassing because we would go to National Hills Kroger and you know, a patient, friend, family, and stuff like that. And they're like, Doc, is everything okay? It's literally an EBT with my name on it.
Yeah.
You know? And gracious thing about it was I was worried about going back into practice, and I told my wife, you know, 'cause we couldn't open up. We couldn't do anything, so I had to open the practice back up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man. She's like, what's wrong? I said, no one's going to come back, especially after, you know, what I'm talking about doing.
Yeah.
And this is still in the infancy, and praise God, literally, everybody came back, you know, mom included. You know, everybody came back like, hey, hell yeah, we support you. And so
That's
great.
an awesome thing to have
We've had a
people
lot of
behind,
support, especially Augusta is the best well-kept secret in the world. Is
Yeah.
you know, it's good old Augusta.
For sure.
So, but yeah, we'll have to do many, many more of these.
I would
'cause
love that, brother. I
It's
would love
fun.
it. Absolutely.
We never even got to talk about banking, and that's fun.
That's fine.
That's okay. That's good. Something to gripe about. Being kicked out of a fucking bank, and then being without a website for 4 months because you can't take credit cards on your website.
Yeah.
And, oh man, it's been a fun ride, man.
It's amazing. Yeah, I'm glad to be a part of it. It's amazing you have a wife like Dana that sticks behind you. That doesn't happen all the time, brother.
Have you ever noticed we have one of the logos that has a pink leaf?
Mm-hmm.
So there's 3 of us that, to my knowledge, that. Hey, will you go grab one of those? You want to show one of those?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Actually, the picture's right over here. So the picture we want to show you here, I'm actually sending a copy over to the Augusta National as a big thank you. Thanks, Chris. And you want to open one of those up. Sure. So I'll tell you what this is. Real impromptu. I got called up to go up to the University of Georgia, and there we go. So me and my wife are 2 of 3. To my knowledge, I cannot speak anybody else. I cannot throw them under the bus right now. But we are 2 of 3 people, to my knowledge, that were allowed to be photographed in the first legally planted field in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
This field was 17 minutes from Stanford Stadium, so this was actually on the actual campus itself.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because, talk about politics. We use Trump as a diversion. So first of all, we checked off. We were completely protected by a executive order, right? So we had executive orders, so we're good. We weren't worried about the feds or the state busting us. We were worried about the college students finding out. And guess what? They were too busy protesting Trump. So it was.
Yeah.
So there we go, diversion. But so there's a. I didn't want to take the picture without her in there, and I'll actually give you a better copy of that, so you can post it if you want to with
Absolutely.
this. And there we go. So that pink leaf, we call that the ladies rule the field, and I didn't want to be in that photograph without her because she's mama.
Yeah.
And she's wearing her sunglasses in there, and truth be told, my eyes are red, and not because I smoked. She wouldn't take her sunglasses off because she was crying.
Yeah.
And this whole thing, I was told from the inception when I came up with this stupid idea, even before we named it the Georgia Cannabis Project, everyone told me it was not going to ever happen, et cetera, and yet here I am standing in the field on God's ground at the University of Georgia, surrounded by, I got 13 of the 55 strains in that field. And later on, I'd love to have a story, because we're trying to track this down. But I get you a copy of that picture there. If you want to post it, ask your listeners or whatever. We're standing next to a plant that's the tallest girl in the whole field.
I see that. Yeah, it's taller than you are.
And so I got 13 of the 55 strains selected there. That's actually the 14th one, and that's a whole other story going back to Franny's farm that I was talking about there. And my boy Luke, we were just talking about Luke. And anyway, that plant, I had really become attached to this strain that I was just looking into when I started finding out they all have names, and I found this strain. And long story short, everything in my household is made better with a glass of cheer wine. That's the wine of our household.
Yeah.
Everybody gets back in a good mood. And the name of that strain of that one plant is called cherry wine. And so it's another evidence that I was in that field or had something to do with that field, because when I found out we were ready to start planting the field, I ended up hearing from I guess I can say his name, Dr. Tim Coulong from the University of Georgia, said we're ready to go. But Dr. Milhous, are there any strains you need to see here so you can see that they will grow in Georgia?
Yeah.
And so I was like, hold on, and I basically, literally, we jumped in the car, ran to all over North Carolina where I had been working, and which is so funny. I did a lot of work in North Carolina, and I went to everyone that was developing that strain or had something to do with the genetics of it. This cherry wine, named after cheer wine, right? Yeah. And so someone, according to Dr. Tim Coulong, someone anonymously donated and brought that plant, and I got it in the field.
Wow.
And to this day, I don't know who brought it. Still, it was one of these weird things, and it was, whoever did it, God, if they're listening, I say this all the time. I'm very thankful that I got to see cherry wine here at UGA on God's ground, right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
There's so many more fun stories here. I know we joke about this all the time. I need to write a book, but no, I can't. It's just it's too much. People get in trouble for doing statute of limitations. But it's been fun. But that pink leaf, that's my wife's logo, and she actually has it tattooed on her hip.
That's amazing. That's so awesome.
I'm not gonna lie. But I got the national, and she's got me.
Yeah.
It is that the ladies rule the field. And I was explaining to my son one time, I said, they're all female plants. That's all he wants, the girls. And I was like, well, shit, that's right. The ladies rule the field. I got it from one of my professors, Dr. Donna Ware, who gave me that idea. She says, that's all we want in the field, it's the ladies. And she said, if I didn't teach you anything at Augusta College, she said, I taught you that the ladies rule the fields, everything.
Everything.
Right? And so... Yeah, she was in that picture with me, and it meant a lot. It was me staking my flag, one more breadcrumb.
Yeah, man, one small step for man.
and if you ever get bored, put this up there too. You might get a paywall because you have to go through a news website, and I don't have anything to do with the news website, but I just got bored. Went to a lot of university students, and originally I would give them a Georgia Cannabis Project sticker. I'm like, hey, if you do this, I'll give you a sticker. And I told them to get out their phone. Specifically, I know everybody like DuckDuckGo and all the others, Brave or whatever, but go on Google. And when you go into Google, type in Georgia, capital G, spelled all the way out, and then your space bar, and then put the number 34TH, 34th, state. So you're going to have in the search bar Georgia 34th state.
Yeah.
And then when you hit enter, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to see search results, and it's going to be an Atlanta Journal-Constitution article that's going to pop up. Before you hit anything, you look at the date, April 19th, 2019. So what I was doing essentially to cover my tracks, because nobody's going to believe this is Trump, right? Or we did this, right? So you look at it, it's April 19th, 2019. And then it says, then you click on the article, right?
Yeah.
And then you read the article, no big deal, you read it, and you go all the way to the bottom, and it's the last line, and it says HB 324, which was the cultivation bill. That's all we needed. We had to get to 34. And HB 324 will make Georgia the 34th state in the union, I'm summarizing here, make Georgia the 34th state to allow some form of marijuana cultivation. Well, that's that 34 that we were talking about. That's the tilting point. That's where we now have to address it in the Constitution of the United States, like we did with alcohol, the 21st Amendment. And it's so neat because I did that just to mess with Google's algorithms. I get bored. That's that ADHD, right? I just get bored. And I was like, ooh, watch this. So then I just get people to continuously Google Georgia 34th state. And that's the #1 article, and it's linked to that very last line, which is proof that we're the 34th state. We are the tiebreaker, and we just saw this administration, the Biden-Harris administration, I think we touched on that, reschedule, or in the middle of rescheduling marijuana from a 1 to a 3. And people don't understand that is a direct reflection on the state of Georgia. We're the tiebreaker. So it's great stuff coming later.
That's amazing, bro.
And so hence later I'll give a little bit more broader stroke, a lot more when I start possibly working on the National Cannabis Project, and has nothing to do with the national. It's just as fitting, and but
Absolutely.
it's the National Cannabis Project, and so we got Georgia. The next one was national. So it's got a cool logo too. Those will actually be here next week. So
Perfect. Yeah, share that. Please do.
I'll send you one. You're gonna love it.
I can't wait. Don't give anything away. I can't.
I won't. I will let you. Matter of fact, I'll send it to you. Let you. You decide what you want to do. It's
Perfect.
It's great. But,
Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate having you on. Like I said, I think you're the right person for it. I can tell your heart's in it. I'm glad you have someone like Dana who's right behind you, supporting you.
Right.
And I always end my podcast. So the way I end it, I always like to end it on positive notes, because obviously you can go up and down through it. What positive advice or what positive vibes do you have for the people that are listening?
Just don't give up. Like I was saying that. Sorry, my phone's ringing here. I can tell you that no doubt there was so many times that I wanted to stop, and I didn't. You got to keep some faith. I don't care what you believe in. I believe in God. It's where I was raised, Southern Baptist, and the biggest thing is you've got to stay focused. You got to stay organized, as hard as it is this day and age. And another favorite of my wife's is Walt Disney. She's a Disney girl.
Yeah.
We live in Florida. She's the best Disney travel agent ever. So Mickey Travels, but one of the biggest, most heartfelt things that had a lot of resonance with me is Walt Disney said, "Keep moving forward," and that's actually in a movie. Keep moving forward, and I used to see it plastered on the walls and stuff when we would be at the park, and that means a lot. It's just keep moving forward. You got to make it through all the bad stuff, and do not ever say it can't get worse.
Because it will.
I said that in January, and I got put under an FDA audit. And I was like, son of a bitch. So that's it. That's just you've got to keep moving forward. And if you believe you can achieve, this is some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard, but holy crap, those words mean a lot now that I look back. So,
sure.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I appreciate having you on, brother. This will be first of many.
Yes.
I appreciate having you on, and
Absolutely.
best of luck to you, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right.